So, I would like to welcome you all to this event, and it is a general and introductory training for Horizon Europe. It's unfortunately a webinar, so we are all from homes or home office or office, and it is about the Horizon Europe strategic plan for Cluster 5, which is mobility and transport. And we have a very full agenda for today. We have representatives from TÜBİTAK that will open the event. And then we have a first session, which is dedicated to the introduction to the Horizon Europe strategic plan and the work program. And then we proceed after some very small break just to grab a coffee to the call documents and the proposal templates, so practical aspects. And then we have two final sessions later in the afternoon. One is presenting the specific calls of Cluster 5 mobility and transport. And at the end, before we close, we have a presentation of a success story, a Turkish success story from an organization in Turkey that has experiences from being part of Horizon 2020 projects. And we close the event with a roundtable discussion. This will give us the opportunity to receive your questions and then discuss them amongst the panel, but also come up with some good questions amongst us. And sometimes it's not that there is a single source of wisdom. It is very natural that people can have different opinions about how a perfect proposal can be designed, engineered, or prepared. And I think that this will provide you some better and richer insight that can also help you in coming up with good proposals and good consortia from your side. Now, I would like to introduce, we have two representatives from TÜBİTAK, and it is Mrs. İpek Üçüncü and Mr. Serhat Melik, and I would like to welcome Serhat to provide us with his welcome speech and a few words about Serhat. Serhat has been working in TÜBİTAK since 2010, and he is a scientific programs expert and EU framework programs national contact point for transport. And Serhat has participated in several FP7 and Horizon 2020 projects on behalf of TÜBİTAK, such as Starnet Transport, which is the European network to support the sustainable surface transport, and ETNA, which is the European Transport Network Alliance, and BOOST, that deals with cooperation in urban science, technology, and policy. And he has also represented Turkey in the European Commission Transport Program Committee meetings as an expert and state representative groups for Clean Sky and Shift to Rail. And he's now responsible for the Horizon Europe Cluster 5 for the mobility area. So, Serhat, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Adamantios. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Serhat Melik. I am working as the national contact point for Cluster 5, but I am dedicated to mobility-related topics together with my colleague, İpek Üçüncü. Actually, I have a very short presentation, but let me share it with you. And I am switching to Turkish. You can follow or even either in Turkish in English. Please use the interpretation button for it. I hope that you can see right now. Yeah.
We can see very well.
Okay. Thank you very much again. Herkese merhabalar. İsmim Serhat Melik. TÜBİTAK Avrupa Birliği Çerçeve Programları Müdürlüğü'nde ulaşım alanı sorumlusu olarak görev yapıyorum. Etkinliğimize tekrardan hoş geldiniz. Çok kısa biçimde aslında ulaşım ya da mobilite alanı artık yeni ismiyle Ufuk Avrupa programındaki konumu ve bizim için öneminden bahsetmek istiyorum. Ufuk Avrupa programının genel yapısına artık aşinayız. Son zamanlarda yaptığımız etkinlikler vasıtasıyla 4 temel bileşenden oluşuyor. Burada özellikle ikinci bileşen küresel sorunlar ve endüstriyel rekabet altındaki 5. küme iklim, enerji ve mobilite kümesine oluşturmakta. Aslında Ufuk 2020 programında birbirinden farklı alanlar olan enerji, ve ulaşım alanı burada bir küme haline de birleştirildi ve daha önce çevre alanında daha sık gördüğümüz başlıklarda buraya entegre edildi. Aslında Nisan ayında 7 Nisan'da Küme 5 kapsamındaki enerji alanı başlıklarına yönelik gene genel bir etkinlik, bilgilendirme etkinliği düzenlemiştik. Tabii her iki alan enerji ve mobilite çok büyük ve kapsamlı oldukları için ayrı ayrı düzenlemeye karar verdik. Bugün de aslında mobilite özelinde sizlerle bilgi paylaşımında bulunacağız. Burada 5. kümenin genel amacı aslında Avrupa Komisyonu'nun Avrupa Yeşil Mutabakatı çerçevesindeki 2050'de iklim nötr bir kıta haline gelmesine yönelik genel hedeflerine katkı sunulması hedefleniyor. Burada iklim nötrlük ve iklim ekosistem ilişkisinden tutun, enerjiye yönelik enerji üretimi, tedariği ve kullanımının daha enerji verimli ve çevre dostu hale getirilmesi ve bugün aslında üzerine duracağımız şekilde farklı ulaşım modlarının da hem daha çevreci hem de birbirine entegre biçimde yürütülmesine yönelik çağrılar karşımızda olacak. Küme 5 içinde kapsamında aslında 5 kişi olarak çalışıyoruz. Burada ben ve İpek Hanım mobilite konuları ilgiliyiz. Çağrı Bey ile Hanife Hanım enerji alanı ile ilgili. Serhat Yıldırım Bey ise iklim alanındaki konulara odaklanmakta. Genel özelliklerine çok kısaca değineceğim. Daha sonraki sunumlarda bahsedileceği için. Aslında Avrupa Komisyonu'nun 2 önemli hedefi var. Bu da yeşil ve dijital geçiş. Bu hedefe katkı sunmak üzere ve diğer politik önceliklerine katkı sunmak üzere belli projeler desteklenecek. Yaklaşık olarak bütçesi 15,1 milyar avro. Ama yani bu değişebilir. En son haliyle önemli bir bütçenin yüzde olarak Ufuk Avrupa bütçesini oluşturduğunu görüyoruz. Tabii burada artık yeni bir kavram da karşımıza çıkıyor. Destination, hedef olarak. Ve çağrıların çoğu aslında tek aşamalı ama iklim alanındaki çağrılar Küme 5 kapsamında, o da 2022 yılı çağrıların 2 aşamalı olması planlanıyor. Ve bunun dışında aslında bu küme ile ilgili 2 misyon ve 11 Ufuk Avrupa ortaklığı var. Aslında belli kamu, özel sektör, kamu yapılarının sıklıkla ilişkilendirildiği bir küme olduğunu söyleyebiliriz. Burada da aslında mobiliteye odaklanırsak ben temelde bunu 2'ye ayırıyorum. Bunun birincisi aslında bugün değineceğimiz geleneksel çalışma programı kapsamındaki mobilite çağrıları. Burada az önce bahsettiğim gibi belli hedefler var. Mobiliteyle ilişkilendirilebilen. Aslında ikinci hedef yatay bir hedef. Doğrudan mobilite değil ama onu da ilgilendirilecek bataryalar gibi ya da ileride daha fazla detayını göreceğimiz şehirlerle ilgili misyon, topluluklar ve şehirler misyonuna yönelik çağrılar ya da çığır açıcı çözümler mobiliteyle ilgilendirecek. Ama bugün aslında hedef 5 ve hedef 6'daki konulara tanıtacağız size ve değineceğiz. Bir de bugün değinmeyeceğimiz, ileride daha fazla detay oldukça sizlerle paylaşacağımız ortaklık yapıları var. Bunların 2021 yılı içerisinde olgunlaşması ve 2022 yılı itibariyle de çağrılarına çıkılması planlanmakta. Raylı sistemlerle ilgili olan Yapı Europe Rail, havacılığın daha çok yapısal kısımlarıyla ve daha yüksek teknoloji olgunluk seviyesine yönelik projelerin destekleneceği Clean Aviation ya da hava trafik yönetimine yönelik konuların destekleneceği Digital European Sky konuları da ileride karşımıza çıkacak. Ama dediğim gibi bugün biz geleneksel çalışma programının altındaki 5. ve 6. hedeflerle ilgili sizlere bilgi paylaşımında bulunacağız. Bir de bunlar dışında aslında kentsel ulaşımla yönelik EIT Urban Mobility bulunmakta. Burada temel sorulardan biri de şu oluyor. Biz Türkiye olarak bunlara katılım sağlayabilir miyiz Ufuk Avrupa programına? Bu aslında metine Avrupa Komisyonu'nun taslak Ufuk Avrupa Genel Ek, General Annex dokümanından aldık. Buna göre aslında Ufuk Avrupa programına asosiye olarak katılım sağlamış tüm ülkeler, Ufuk 2020 programına asosiye olarak katılım sağlamış tüm ülkeler, Ufuk Avrupa programının ilk çağrılarına da sorunsuz şekilde katılım sağlayabilecekler. Burada önemli nokta şu, başvuru yapılan projelerin hibe sözleşmeleri yani grant agreement imzalanana kadar asosiyelik sürecinin resmi olarak tamamlanması gerekiyor. Biz de aslında Türkiye olarak bu konudaki müzakere sürecini sürecine devam ediyoruz. Bu husustaki teknik toplantılar Avrupa Komisyonu'yla devam ediliyor. Ülkemizdeki paydaşların bu kapsamda herhangi bir sorun yaşamadan programda yer alabilmesi için çalışmaları tüm hızıyla sürdürüyoruz. Tabii Ufuk 2020 programının son çağrılarında, özellikle ulaşım alanı çağrılarında bizi çok sevindiren gelişmeler oldu. Genelde kuruluşlarımız projelerde ortak olarak yer aldıkları projeler desteklenirken son çağrıda tabiri caizse şeytanın bacağını kırdık ve koordinatör olarak da bu değerli kuruluşlarımız projelerde yer aldılar. Farplus, bugün Emre Elmas Bey aslında daha fazla detaylarından bahsedecek. Green Vehicles, çevre dostu araçlar çağrılarında aslında rekabetin çok yoğun olduğu bir çağrıydı. Burada araç hafifletilmesine yönelik bir konuda koordinatör olarak projeyi sundular ve proje başarılı bulundu ve Türkiye'den gene TOFAŞ kuruluşumuz projede yer aldı. 10 ülkeden 14 farklı proje ortağı var. Emre Bey zaten hem bu konudaki değerli tecrübelerini hem de projenin genel hatlarını size ileride bilgi olarak paylaşacak sizlerle. Bir diğer bizi mutlu eden gelişme de Albatros projesi. Burada da Yeşilova Holding'in koordinatör olduğu ve Türkiye'den Ford Otosan, FEV Türkiye ve Mercedes-Benz Türkiye'nin yer aldığı bataryalara yönelik gene modüler, hafif, menzil arttırılmış bataryaların elde edilmesine yönelik bir proje desteklendi. Tabii bu koordinatörlük rolünün ileride de devam etmesini, Ufuk Avrupa'da da devam etmesini istiyoruz. Burada da TÜBİTAK olarak aslında Ufuk 2020'de başlattığımız ve Ufuk Avrupa'da da devam ettirmeyi planladığımız belli desteklerimiz var. Örneğin Covid öncesinde sıklıkla kullandığımız seyahat desteği programımız kapsamında inşallah ileride Covid sonrasında da uluslararası fiziksel olarak gerçekleştirilen etkinliklere bu destekten faydalanarak katılım sağlayabilirsiniz. Ya da yabancı araştırmacı seyahat desteğinden faydalanarak örneğin daha önce ulaşım alanında çok ortaklı proje yürütmüş bir kuruluştaki bir proje yürütücüsünü Türkiye'ye davet edip ağırlayabilirsiniz. Ya da aslında bu başarıları sürdürülebilir hale getirmek için belli ağlara üyelikler önemli. Özellikle Hedef 5 ve Hedef 6'daki belli kamu özel sektör ortaklıkları, European Partnerships adını verdiğimiz yapılara üyelik önemli. Bununla ilgili de aslında Nisan ayında bir çağrımız mevcuttu, kapandı. Gene ağlara üyelik desteğimiz de bu konuda kuruluşlarımıza yardımcı olabilmekte. Ve koordinatörlüğü destekleme programımız da aslında modüler bir destek. Burada proje yazma sunma eğitiminden proje ön değerlendirme desteğine ya da proje yazdırma desteğine kadar faydalanabilirsiniz. Ve bu bilgilerin tamamı şu anda Ufuk 2020.tr sitemizde mevcut. Aslında şu anda bir geçiş aşamasındayız. Yeni sitemiz Ufuk Avrupa sitesi hazırlıkları tüm hızıyla devam ediyor. Ancak onu başlatana kadar Ufuk 2020 sitemizde de Ufuk Avrupa'ya yönelik güncel haberleri bulabilirsiniz. Bu nedenle lütfen kayıt olun. En son yaptığımız duyurular size otomatik e-posta olarak gelsin. Zaten kaydınız da otomatik olarak yine sitemize aktarılacak. Tabii bunun dışında sosyal medya hesaplarımızdan da bu paylaşımlarda bulunuyoruz. Bu medya hesaplarımızı da takip edebilirsiniz. Ve tabii bugün aslında bu proje kapsamında etkinliğimizi gerçekleştiriyoruz. Projemizin ismi Turkey'in Horizon 2020 Phase 2. Bu katılım öncesi mali yardımı kapsamında TÜBİTAK'ın yararlanıcı kuruluş olarak yer aldığı bir proje. Bu kapsamda hem eğitim faaliyetleri yürütülmekte, danışmanlık, proje değerlendirme hizmetleri, işbirliği ağlarının geliştirilmesine yönelik pek çok farklı hizmet verilmekte. Aslında bu projemiz kapsamında uluslararası proje pazarı etkinlikleri de düzenledik daha önceleri. Örneğin Cities of Future adını verdiğimiz etkinlikleri Brüksel'de düzenledik ya da IC Turkey dediğimiz gene uluslararası proje pazarı etkinliğini İstanbul'da düzenledik. Bu etkinliklerin dışında özellikle belli önemli görülen başarılı kurumlara da çalışma ziyaretleri de düzenledik ve düzenliyoruz. Umarız Covid sonrası süreçte bunları çok daha hızlı şekilde yerine getireceğiz. Ve tabii en son Ufuk 2020'nin son çağrısı olan Avrupa Yeşil Mutabakatı çağrısında da gene Covid nedeniyle maalesef fiziksel bir proje pazarı etkinliği düzenleyememiştik ama dijital ortamda bunu düzenledik. 900'e yakın katılımcı yer aldı ve 700'den fazla birebir görüşme gerçekleştirilmişti. Gene ileride de Ufuk Avrupa yönelik bu tarz etkinlikler düzenleyeceğiz. Buna dair aslında detayları ilgili projenin web sitesinden izleyebilirsiniz, takip edebilirsiniz. Bugün izleyeceğiniz sunumların kayıtları ve sunumları aslında gene web sitesi üzerinden takip edebilirsiniz. Son olarak yeni bir açıklama yayımlandı Avrupa Komisyonu tarafından. Yeni açılacak çağrılara yönelik bilgi günleri düzenlenecek. Bunlar 28 Haziran'la 9 Temmuz arasında ve küme 5 kapsamındaki, yani mobilitenin yer aldığı konuların da yer alacağı bilgi günü 5-6 Temmuz 2021 tarihinde gerçekleşecek. Buna dair bilgiyi yine ufuk2020.tr sitesinde sizlerle paylaşıyor olacağız. Çok teşekkür ederim. Özellikle mobilite kapsamında ileride de sorularınız olabilir. Burada bana ya da birlikte çalıştığım arkadaşım İpek 3. Hanım'a aşağıda yer alan e-posta adreslerinden her zaman ulaşabilirsiniz. Verimli, başarılı bir etkinlik dilerim. Sağ olun. So, Amantios,
thank you, Serhat. I will make a promise to myself to learn Turkish sooner or later. And thank you very much for this introduction. And now we go to the second speaker. And this is Odysseas Spiroglou. Odysseas will present an introduction to the Horizon Europe Strategic Plan and Work Program. And few words about Odysseas. He's the key expert in the Turkey in Horizon 2020, now in Horizon Europe project. And he's responsible for legal, financial, and IPR aspects. Odysseas is an innovation consultant with engineering, ICT, and financial background. He has over 20 years of working experience in EU-funded projects, and he has followed all aspects from the preparation of proposals, building of consortia, managing of projects, and these under FP7, CIP, COSME, Interreg, MED program, Horizon 2020, and more. And he's mainly specialized in project management and quality management and intellectual property and re-engineering of business processes. And he has himself designed and delivered more than 300 training sessions on innovation management, IPR, entrepreneurship, and proposal writing. So, Odysseas, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Diamandis, for this advertisement. I will start my presentation, and we'll have the chance to see the new Horizon program and how it evolved in program. So let me share my screen. Can you see the correct screen, or I need to swap displays?
Yes, we see the correct screen, yeah.
Okay, very good. So I'd like to speak about the strategic plan and how we evolved from the strategic plan and European Commission policies into the work program, because I believe it is necessary for everybody who deals with Horizon Europe to understand this process and incorporate this process into its thinking, his or her thinking, and in the proposal building. So I will not say a lot of words about myself. I believe that Diamandis covered more than enough from my profile. And I will go directly to the structure of this session. So what I will be talking about is the EU priorities and how these EU priorities evolved into the work program, the strategic plan for the first half of Horizon Europe program, 2021 to 2024, the work programs, which are the documents that contain all the calls that will be published soon for the first 2 years of the program. And of course, the new key strategic orientations, as European Commission calls them, new approaches for impact, and the cross-cutting issues of Horizon Europe. So before we start digging deeper into Horizon Europe, I'd like to speak about EU goals and EU values. And it is important to understand that, because if you want to understand EU funding, it is vital to know how European Union works. And we all know that the European Union is a unique economic and political union. And it began as a purely economic union, but now it has evolved into an organization spanning its interests and influence and jurisdiction across many different policy areas. And among these are peace and well-being, the freedom, security and justice, sustainable development, balanced economic growth, so price stability of the European market, market economy, the employment, social inclusion, so that nobody stays behind, no European economy or even the surrounding economies fall behind in growth, and of course, scientific and technological progress. And European Union wants to do all that while at the same time maintaining its cultural and linguistic diversity. Now, to achieve all these goals, European Union has created some detailed strategies. And the strategies is nothing but a document, or rather many documents, that explain what needs to be done and how European Union sees its role in all these policies, in all these areas. So the strategies evolve into policies, and then in order to implement these policies, we need some instruments, because if we don't have the tools to implement these policies, then a policy stays nothing more than a document. And how do we implement the policy? We implement the policy through legislation, and EU legislation has different types of rules, like regulations, directives, decisions, recommendations, ranging from how mandatory they are for EU member states, but it also has EU standards. So we all know about standards. They are a way to standardize the processes and the products so that we make them easier available across Europe. And of course, funding programs, because everything that we discuss needs money. So we have these funding programs, and the biggest funding program in Europe is Horizon Europe. I would say in the world, but now the President of the United States, so Joe Biden, a few weeks ago, announced that United States will invest almost 1 trillion in research. So Horizon Europe is not anymore the biggest research program in the world, but it is one of the biggest. And how it works? We take these EU priorities, we combine them with the budget. So MFF that you see on top of the slide, it's the multi-annual financial framework. Basically, it's the budget that we allocate in each of the priorities. And out of these priorities, we devise the strategic plan. Now, a strategic plan is a more detailed document that covers the first period of Horizon Europe. It is dedicated, of course, for the program. It does not cover the full program, because at the middle of the program, we want to make an interim review, see how the program has evolved and how and if it can be improved. So the first strategic plan covers just the first half of the program, and then, of course, we will have a new strategic plan, which I don't believe it will be significantly different, but it will definitely introduce new novelties or new initiatives or fix some problems that we may face in the first period of the project. So we now have the Horizon Europe strategic plan published. It is a document that we have it in our hands, and we can read it and we can analyze it. After the strategic plan, what we expect to see is the work programs. The work programs, as I already said, will cover the first 2 years of the project. Again, they are multi-annual, so every 2 years we'll get a new work program. We have one for 21-22, another one for 23-24, and so forth. And these work programs cover the exact thematic priorities. They give the rules for eligibility, for the selection of the participants, for the award criteria, every detail that is needed for the proposal. Again, they are an overview of the proposals, of the calls that will be published. At the moment, we have a few of the work programs finalized and published, so they are adopted by the European Union, and we have them as final documents, like the European Innovation Council, the program that targets SMEs. But we have ERC, the European Research Council for researchers, but we don't have the rest of the programs. These are expected from any time now. There are a few delays in this process, mainly because of the changes that Brexit brought with it, but also because it is a new program. Every time in a new program, there are new negotiations between the countries and the member states and between the associated countries. So there are a few delays. We hope that European Union will overcome these delays fast enough and programs will be published. However, we have almost all these work programs as draft versions unofficially published. So we work with them because we don't expect that there will be significant changes. Once the work program for the first 2 years is published, then soon after we have the call for proposals published in the Commission's portal, the Funding and Tender Opportunities portal. Some of them may be in 2 stages, some of them in 1 stage. And of course, in the text calls, you will find the specific aims and objectives, the specific rules that you need to follow in order to submit a proposal, the eligibility requirements, the budget that is allocated to this call, and all the details that you need, along, of course, with the templates. Regarding templates, Diamandis has a very interesting presentation immediately after this one. So he will walk you through the new proposal template that will be needed. There are significant changes in this template. So it's worth studying this template and trying to understand what is needed. After the call for proposals, then we have a period of usually 3 to 4 months where the call is open. And at the end of this period, we have the deadline where we need to submit our proposals. And again, through the financial and tender portal on the template that was provided to us. And the full process is digital. No, it is not necessary to send any documents by email or any other way. You will do everything through the portal. After that, of course, we have the evaluation. So we have a panel, a committee rather, of 2 to 3 independent experts. These experts grade your proposals. Then we have a consensus where they come together to discuss. Then there is a panel review, and then finally, after this process is done, in some cases there are also interviews. You get the evaluation summary report. So you are either invited to submit to a grant. So your proposal is successful, you are invited to sign a grant agreement, or you are informed that your proposal was unsuccessful and better luck next time. The Commission priorities is where we need to start to understand how we evolved into the strategic orientations. So these Commission priorities are largely political. So every time we have a change in the European leadership, now with von der Leyen, we have new Commission priorities. These are not, of course, all that different from the old priorities, but they are always adapted. So the need for fight against the climate change is not new, but it is now more prominent. Similar for the digital age. So this is not new. There was digitization was part of European priorities for many years, but it is now again very high in the political agenda. Along with this, we have one of the priorities to create an economy that will work for people, so to attracting investment without hurting the environment, to create quality jobs, to promote the European way of life with the protection of rule of law and justice and core values, push for European democracy, and of course, a need for Europe to take a bigger and more prominent role in the global stage. In addition to all this, we also have a big recovery plan for Europe to fight the aftermath of COVID-19. So we have the next generation EU plan, which is a new financing instrument that will help all member states mitigate the dangers and the effects of COVID-19. Horizon priorities for the next 4 years. So we talked about the European policies, and now it's time to move on to the strategic plan. So from the 6 EU priorities I just presented, we go down and we create the key strategic orientations and impact areas. These are included into the strategic plan. And from these, we go to specific destinations, so specific actions that we need to implement through the work program, so specific calls for proposals. We have 6 priorities, the ones that I already presented, and we have 4 key strategic orientations. Out of these 4 strategic orientations, we have 32 expected impacts, so things that the Commission expects that our calls, the calls and our proposals will have an impact on. And these are organized under 3 clusters, a lot like Horizon 2020. 3 pillars, sorry, a lot like Horizon 2020, and 6 clusters and 34 destinations. Now, this is the structure of Horizon Europe. You can see the 3 pillars, and in the middle, in Pillar 2, you can see the 6 clusters. Today, we are talking about Cluster 5, and more specifically, the mobility from Cluster 5. So there are a few changes between Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe. And the main changes are that in Horizon 2020, the thematic areas were clustered, were organized under Pillar 3, under societal challenges, whereas in Pillar 2, we had all the new emerging technologies like the nanomaterials, the biotechnology, space, and we had the actions for SMEs. Now, everything related to SMEs is organized under Cluster 3 in Horizon Europe, the one that we call Innovative Europe. And in there, we have the European Innovation Council, the successor to the SME instrument. We also have European Innovation Ecosystem and European Institute of Innovation and Technology Initiatives. In Cluster 2, we have the global challenges along with the industrial competitiveness. And in here, we have the clusters. So the clusters are the thematic areas, and we are dealing in this webinar with mobility. At this point, I would like to talk a little bit about how this process evolved. And I want to talk about that because it is important to know, first of all, how we arrived to this point, but also how this process will continue, because it's not finished. So the Commission decided after Horizon 2020 to follow a co-design approach in creating the Horizon Europe program. And this is an approach that involves a lot of stakeholders, a lot of people that are directly involved in the project, in the proposal, in the program, and are benefiting from that. So organizations, SMEs, public and private sector all together were contributed their feedback in order to identify the problems of Horizon 2020 and see how these problems could be fixed. I have this slide on co-design process mainly because I want you to think about that and see if you can use and employ such a co-design process even in your proposals. This is something that it will be very beneficial for your proposals, and it is something that, although you will not find it explicitly written in the calls, it is actually that something the Commission now wants to see. So when you are developing a proposal, when you are developing a project, try to follow as much as possible a co-design process, which means that if you are building a product, try to involve the end users, try to bring these users into the process as early as possible, try to get their feedback, try to keep them engaged throughout the way. How European Commission did that? Now, they did that by a wide survey. They created an EU survey and they disseminated all over Europe, and they collected 8,000 responses. This survey was open for some months during 2019. And then European Commission organized the European Research and Innovation Days. That was a physical event in 2019. We were there as key experts, as Turkey in Horizon 2020, and TÜBİTAK was also there. And that was the first event of its kind where we had the chance to discuss and exchange opinions. There weren't any presentations per se, there weren't any explanations or how the project will be created at that point. It was only discussions and feedback on how the project should be and the Horizon program should be. The same event took place online last year in 2022, and it will take again place this year, I think in 2 weeks from now, or 3 weeks from now, on the 23rd and 24th of June. And I urge you to take part in it. You can register. You will see that there are plenty of parallel sessions. You can pick and choose and mix any session that it falls under your interests. And I believe that it will be very beneficial for you, because you will get the chance to see how this process evolves. Now, what are the key strategic orientations? We talked about policies, we talked about the European priorities, how and what that means for Horizon Europe. That means that Horizon Europe is structured under 4 main key strategic orientations. And if you read the text in these boxes, you will find out that there are a lot of overlaps. Now, I tried to give some quick titles. So the titles that you will see next to the boxes are mine. And I think they are they will help us to understand what it is about. So the first strategic orientation A, is about digital transformation. And if you read about it, you will see a lot of digital in it. You will see key digital enabling and emerging technologies, sectors, value chain, digital and green transitions. So we have an overlap with the green environment, Green Deal, and the climate change, and of course, human-centered technologies and innovation. Now, if you move to the second strategic orientation, where we have environmental protection, there we are talking about sustainability, about natural resources, about biodiversity, food security, healthy environment. Move down to C. Again, a lot of overlaps between C and D. Sustainable development, but also overlaps with A as well. So we want a digitally enabled, circular and climate neutral and sustainable economy. So we both want a digital acceleration, digital transformation, and the green acceleration. So using digitization towards a greener society, a greener Europe. And finally, we have the key strategic orientation D, which is about resilience and inclusiveness. And I would say this is more political. So we have we need a resilient, inclusive, democratic society, able to prepare to be responsive against threats and disasters, address inequalities, provide high quality healthcare. So again, you see that there are overlaps with the rest of strategic orientations. Now, every orientation has specific impact areas. So these are the areas that Commission expects the proposals to address problems in, but also every cluster addresses some of the challenges set in this orientation. Now remember that we are in cluster 5, so under climate, energy, and mobility. And you will see that cluster 5 appears in all strategic orientations. There are some other clusters that do not appear in all, but cluster 5 in mobility has a role to play in all strategic orientations. So in orientation A, we have the open strategic autonomy. This is a new term. It's Europe's desire to chart its own course in global stage, leadership, openness, global engagement. We have areas, impact areas like the secure data economy, key and emerging technologies for work, cyberspace, digital services, and in climate, we talk about mobility here. We talk about a transition to greener value chains and how mobility could help address some of these problems. In orientation B, again, we have a way to restore Europe's ecosystem and biodiversity. And in here, we want to create and to enhance the ecosystems and biodiversity of land and waters, a cleaner and healthier air, water, and soil. So in here, we have, again, mobility with better mobility, energy generation, air quality. So things that fall into these impact areas. Orientation C, we have, again, cluster 5 contributing to these challenges. So we have climate change, mitigation and adaptation. We have clean energy here, a big and important area of smart and sustainable transport, where a lot of calls of course, we have here smart industry, safer mobility, pollution energy and transport, in cloud and economy to involve. You get that necessarily mobility, and in the third session of our webinar, you will see how the mobility calls are structured and how the mobility calls address these impact areas. Horizon Europe follows a new approach for impact. So we have another target for better research and innovation investments. And the goal here is to maximize the impact that we have, so to exploit the research and innovation investments for the best. And there are two new initiatives to do that, to help that. So we have European partnership, which is basically specific initiatives, targeted co-funding or PROCO program between public and private organizations for joint R&I activities. And there are a lot of European partnerships. If you go to Commission's portal, you will see all of them. I have indicatively 3 of them. So there is a European partnership for AI, for data and robotics, one for water, one for open science cloud, so forth. We also have a new concept in Horizon Europe, the concept of missions. And these are, this is a new tool that aims to address global challenges. It's more ambitious, more inspirational, and we are looking into a problem in a more holistic way. And I would say that climate neutral and smart cities is the one that falls directly under mobility calls and your organizations that deal with mobility. International cooperation is also increased, and Horizon Europe aims to increase it. So there are some global efforts and investments, some science technology, some synergies with other EU external policy. This is the goal. And to do that, we need more collaborative research and innovation initiatives with third-party countries and regions, see if we can involve partners from abroad. If we can have multilateral alliances, so build alliances with organizations that work across these areas, and climate change and sustainable food in biodiversity, or establish some policy dialogues with third countries and regions through some strategic level cooperation, address open science problems, ethics, safety, quality. These are things that will play a big role in Horizon Europe. Finally, I want to talk about the cross-cutting issues of Horizon Europe. There are 8 horizontal topics. These are relevant to all program components. They are identified into the strategic plan, and they should all be addressed appropriately. Some of them we know because we have already dealt with them in Horizon Europe, in Horizon 2020. And these are the first 4. So we already had social sciences and humanities under Horizon 2020. Now they are integrated in all clusters. We had addressed them in a number of proposals. Now you will see specific topics flagged under calls. So you may have a call for mobility and a special social problem may be flagged, like accessibility, for instance, and you will have to address that through that call. Of course, you need to make sure that you assess the societal impact when that is necessary. So whenever you have developed a proposal, you need to think the societal impact and see how it will affect to take any steps to address this impact. Dissemination and exploitation goes without saying. There is a new interest in dissemination and exploitation. Europe now wants to see results. They want to see these results integrated into higher education programs, into training, into new tools, new products, and there are some tools to help you do that. So we have now the results platform, we have the IP booster, we have the portal, the same portal that you use to submit your proposals, you use it to results. And of course, you should always design and describe your proposal with the dissemination and exploitation in mind. And think about the uptake of assets. What will happen to your results once the program finishes? Who will take over? Will there be any private investments? Is there any IP management that you need to set to ensure that the results will not be lost out of in the thin air? Key enabling technologies, another cross-cutting theme. These are also integrated into the proposal. So there are no specific calls on advanced manufacturing, but these calls are integrated into the clusters. So you will see all these key enabling technologies interlinked with the calls of these clusters, the advanced materials, life sciences, artificial intelligence. All these are interlinked into the clusters. Social innovation. We have heard about social innovation. We've done social innovation in Horizon Europe, but not in that extent. And now you need also to think about social innovation. You need to include it into your proposals. You will, if you read the work program, you will see that social innovation is mentioned in quite a number of calls. And you need to think how science and tech can be used creatively to address social problems, and how you can combine the new tech capabilities with organizational and social practices. And of course, you need to support this social innovation across all 4 key strategic orientations. So you need to think more horizontally. Gender equality and inclusiveness is another cross-cutting issue. It is fairly new in its prominence. So of course we did have the gender equality as a section in the previous proposals, and we had to address that. But now it's much more quantitative in terms of what it is expected from you. So they want to, European Commission wants to make sure that we eliminate gender inequality, that there are no unconscious biases, no systemic barriers for genders. There is an integration of gender dimension into your proposal and into your organization. And of course, a gender equality plan will be needed for all public organizations after 2022. So from the next year, it will be necessary for all organizations to have one. We are going to organize specific webinars and trainings on gender equality, so stay tuned for this. Ethics and integrity again, we are talking about a more prominent cross-cutting issue now. It isn't something that we weren't dealt with in Horizon Europe, in Horizon 2020, but now it's far more prominent. So we have the obligation as researchers to follow the European conduct of research integrity, to make sure that we have clear principles and we comply with education, with legislation, to address any ethical dimension of new technology. So if we're working on artificial intelligence or environment, we need to make sure that we address the ethical dimension of these technologies, and furthermore to develop training and educational material and operating procedures for these topics. So when we work on a proposal, we need to think about ethics and intent. We need to make sure that we incorporate ethics and privacy by design into our proposals. Open science, it's as most of you know, a scientific process based on an open and collaborative work and knowledge diffusing tools. So mainly it's what we mean, it's making research knowledge more accessible, without barriers, without costs. It should be findable, it should be interoperable, and it should be reusable. Its data should be reusable. And there is a new tool in the market now, in the European Open Science Cloud, where you can include your research results, and you can also use the results from other projects. And of course, there are rewards and incentives for researchers. And again, there is an obligation to create a detailed research management plan. Sometimes you need to have that when you submit your proposal. Now, EU taxonomy is the last new key issue. It's nothing more than a classification system. So it's a list of environmentally sustainable economic activities. These are organized under these 6 categories. So whenever you are working in an activity that falls and can be classified into one of these, you can use this taxonomy to help the reviewers, to help the Commission understand that you are working on something specific, and to enable a scale up of investment. So it's a way for European Union to better organize the information and make sure that you are compliant with the call and their policies. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of information on EU taxonomy at the moment, so we don't even have the detailed taxonomy, but we will soon have it. It's nothing that you can do at this point other than follow the EU portal and follow what is being announced. But we will deal with that in more detail once we know more about that. And I am closing this session just by presenting the work programs and how these work programs function. So a work program is a bunch of documents, not just one document. So we always have the general introduction, and then we have specific work program for every thematic. So we have a work program for Marie Curie, we have a work program for research infrastructure, we have one work program for every cluster. So for mobility, in fact, we have one work program that covers climate, energy, and mobility. So all calls are included in there. But along with that, of course, we get the proposal template, for which this is going to speak later on. We have a model grant agreement, as we did in in Horizon 2020. And of course, we have a strategic plan. This is the same across all work programs, and it should be the first document that you start studying. So you start studying the strategic plan and the strategic plan analysis, another document if you want to go into a bit more detail, and then you go into the general work program, and then you go to the specifics of the work program of your cluster, and you try to identify your goal and then start building your concept, or start building your consortium, or start looking for partners. That's all that I wanted to present at this point. So we covered the EU goals and values and policies, and how we come from policies. From policies we get to goals, the priorities for the commission priorities for the next period, the strategic plan for the next period, the co-design process, the strategic orientations, new approaches to impact, and the cross-cutting horizon topics. I think that's all. I believe that we can take questions now, if necessary.
There are two questions there. Odysseus, you can check them and give an answer. And the one is...
Okay, the first question that I can see is we have a project regarding autonomous car technology. The aim of the project is... Oops, that was...
It moved to the answer to answer.
Okay, it was answered. Okay. Okay, it was answered. This one is in Turkish. I think it's about deadline standards. Kemal, can you translate, please?
For this question, TÜBİTAK will respond as well from TÜBİTAK.
Yes, I can respond it.
Okay.
In the chat box.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay. I know that all these may sound a lot, and a lot of things will become more clear when we explain the goals, and when you start to understand the rationale behind the goals. But I think it is important for every organization to at least know from where we start and where we end up. Because when you try to write your proposal, it will be needed. You will need to explain why you address these challenges the way you address them. So it is important to at least have an understanding of the key strategic orientations and know where to find more when needed.
I have some good questions for you to ask you, Odysseus, but I will keep them for the roundtable discussion in the afternoon, yeah?
Okay, yes.
Okay, so many thanks, Odysseus. And now we proceed with my presentation. It is about proposal templates. I am facing also in the morning that we did a test call with Kemal. I had some very low quality in my internet. So in case you see my face disappearing, it will be not because I consider that I'm not worth that you look at me, but which is true, unfortunately, but also to save some bandwidth. So at some point, in case there are problems, also you can also provide me with information or write me in the chat that there is a problem with my connection. So now I share my screen with you and we may start. And it is about the Horizon Europe calls and the proposal documents, actually, because this is a very important thing. It's actually like the instruments that we will use for winning a proposal to become a project will be through the proposal templates, and the more familiar we get with them, the better for us. And the topics to cover actually are about the work program and the call documents, the admissibility and eligibility, financial and operational capacity, award criteria and procedure to follow, the templates, and the model grant agreement. But actually, I will consciously, purposefully, and deliberately focus on the proposal practicalities. And the structure I will be following is that I will provide some initial information, introductory, to set the context, and then present the deficiencies of the old proposals, templates versus the new, the comparison of all the new templates, suggestions on how to proceed, and conclusions to take away message. Now, we have a slide where we can ask you some questions, and then you can interactively reply to them. And I would like to ask Tuce, if you can, Tuce, open the slide, so I will stop sharing my screen and you can
Sure.
show your screen there. Yeah, thank you. So that we can see there some questions that are just to get an understanding about from your side. In case we had a physical event, I would simply ask the questions and you would raise hands, and that's it. But now we have to do it in this way. So a question I had there was, first of all, I presuppose that I assume that you already know the new templates for proposals, but in case you don't know them, you can write answer that you don't feel comfortable at all. But the question is whether you feel comfortable with the new proposal templates, so that we get a feedback about this. And there is no problem to admit that we haven't looked at them yet, or that you don't know about these new proposal templates yet. So please, it would be good if you could provide us with some feedback. So that you just vote there or choose some options. And other people that may have a different opinion. Yeah. So other so you still think that yeah, because personally I would expect that there are many people all over Europe that they haven't looked at the new templates, they have ignored them, or they have only looked at them but not putting much effort there. So for me, it is a good case if you have started using them and faced no problems there. But I would expect it is normal that people haven't yet looked at them or even downloaded them at all. Yeah. So then, Tuce, please proceed to the next question. Whether you plan to lead or only take a part in a proposal, and there again, feel free to tell what are your intentions. Again, to not be sure at all is a good answer, so don't feel there that it's a bad answer. And then we can go to the third question. I think there are 4 questions all in all, Tuce. And how many resources you plan to invest for your participation in the preparation of a proposal. So in case you dedicate a team, or you have no idea yet, or only a junior person or a senior person, or you would outsource the process to someone else. Okay. And then let's go to the last question, which is, for your future proposals, do you plan to build on some previously submitted proposal or start from a zero basis? So I don't know yet. This is a good answer. I think that I will explain this more later about tactics, but sometimes to not have a plan is a good plan. And I have also some recent experiences from other people about the Green Deal, that the results, the evaluation results, were communicated some days before. And okay, so then I'm happy with these responses, and Tuce, I can return to my slides. So I will again share screen, and so here it is about the context setting, and the templates are important. So they are not only technicality at all. And there is this principle that form follows function, which is also applied in other fields. But in this field here, it will be very important. And the question here is that there are some trade-offs. So a proposal can be too much scientific, or it can be too much industry related, or it can be more looking like or feeling like a sale pitch. And actually, at the end, it has to be a compromise of all these elements. So to accommodate sufficiently aspects of scientific excellence, industry relevance, but also be convincing to the Commission to finance it. And the idea there is that with a bad template, several hundreds of people all over Europe will suffer, because they will have something that will not be very ergonomically designed, not very user or proposer friendly. But with a good template, it will help all of us write better proposals. And very important will be the fact that it will also help people build better learning curves, which means that using this template, we can improve through the whole lifetime of the Horizon Europe program our ways of writing proposals, okay? So that there will be some incremental improvement in our proposals throughout the lifetime of the Horizon Europe program. So some deficiencies now of the old templates are, first of all, that as you remember, this is an excerpt from the template that was used for all the duration of Horizon 2020. So in the beginning, we had to present the objectives. And then we had to present the relation of our proposal to the work program. And usually what people did there was that we had a table with two columns. In the first column, we had some excerpt from the call text, the scope, the challenge, and in the next column, in the second column, we provided some narrative why our proposal fulfilled or satisfied all these concerns. And then we had the concept and methodology. And there again, about concept and methodology, we had to explain for the concept, the overall concept of our proposal. Now, imagine now that we all had been starting our proposals in the objective section with providing some information also about the general concept of the proposal, which means that at some point we had a problem because we were not able to start the objective section by enumerating specific objectives. We needed also to spend some time, 1-2 pages, to have some figures, some drawings there to present the concept of the proposal. So at the end, it was very annoying that we had to take some decisions and we were moving text from page 25 to page 1, or we were repeating ourselves again because we already made an introduction about the concept of the proposal before, and then we had to repeat some elements again. And then we had to present the methodology. And at some point, people there were asking themselves, what should we write there? And they were writing some general stuff about agile methodologies, or about general aspects which were not necessarily very project relevant. And again, by section 4, we had to present how our proposal, whose business objectives were presented some 20 pages before, and the concept some 10 pages before, how this proposal was going beyond the state of the art. So these were deficiencies that all people who were involved in the writing of proposals, we faced them, but we learned to live with them, okay? And we managed to find some tricks to survive or to improve the way that we were dealing with all these deficiencies. So now there are some improvements in the new templates. And first of all, I would mention what we all regard as an improvement, that the old template was requiring 70 pages for section 1, 2, and 3. And now it is only 45 pages. But as we may all know, sometimes it's more difficult to write something in 2 pages than to write something in 10 pages. So this reduction of the page number is good, but also needs that we will cautiously handle with it. About the section 1, the excellence. In the past, as I showed you, it was composed of 4 subsections. Now it's only having 2 subsections, but as I have already presented to you, actually too much information will be needed to be provided in very dense form, and some other information will be needed to be elaborated. Now, about old section 2, impact, it was consisting of 2 subsections, and the new proposal template keeps the same 2 sections, but also asks us to provide a new section which is called the impact canvas. I will elaborate on this immediately after, which is a very important novelty of the new template. And then we have the old section 3, the implementation. It was composed of 4 subsections. Now it is only 2 subsections. For instance, one subsection that the Commission abandoned was this project management and decision making, where we were all of us copying, pasting some text from previous proposals. And a mistake that we were all of us unable to avoid was that we failed to adapt and customize these to the specifics of any proposal. So more or less, this was an unpleasant thing. We were spending time, wasting time, and there was no value there. So at some point, this co-creation approach, I think that Odysseus mentioned before, is working, because now the Commission said that, okay, there is no need that we ask people to provide us some information that they copy-paste from other proposals. So this was also an improvement there. Now, about the impact canvas. This is actually the most new, innovative, if you like, you can call it also game-changing part in the new template. And some prehistory, okay, we all of us are familiar or aware about the business model canvas of Alexander Osterwalder. And there, the main idea is that one provides information in a structured form. And this is something that becomes more and more popular. So for instance, the Horizon Results Booster currently officially uses 2 other canvas templates, namely the Lean Canvas and the Value Proposition Canvas. And this is the Lean Canvas, how it looks like, and this is also the Value Proposition Canvas. Now, the Horizon Europe Impact Canvas, we should be very cautious. It is meant to be a summary of the entire proposal. So it's not only about impact. And it consists of 6 parts: specific needs, expected results, dissemination, exploitation, communication measures, target groups, outcomes, and the impacts. So as you see, from all these 6 components, only component 3 and 6 relate to the impact. The rest of them may relate to the excellence part, where we state the needs we address, the results that we aim to build, the target groups we affect. So it's actually a summary. The impact canvas is a summary of the entire proposal. And this is how it looks like. So this is from the Commission official template, and they have there some example filled out, hypothetical about airports. So we are still in the area of mobility and transport. So this is the official template from the Commission, as they used as an example, and also the target groups, outcomes, and impacts. Now, the thing is that this is a hypothetical, fictitious case. And sometimes in many things in life, like with football, we may very comfortably watch other people playing football, but when we are about to play, it's too difficult. Same about singing or many other things, acting, which means that I'm sure that it looks easy for you to your eyes, but it's not as easy to fill these template out, and also to fill this template out with high quality, convincing information. Some basic notions now. As you remember, the impact canvas is composed of 6 aspects: needs, impacts, results, dissemination, exploitation, communication measures, target groups, and outcomes. And at some point, you will need to start filling out the canvas from one of these components. So you may start from the specific needs, or you may start from the outcomes, or you may start from the results. Whichever will be your starting point, you will then need to go through each of the different components and relate all of them together, which means that in case you start from the needs, you will then need to describe results that relate to these specific needs. And once you describe the needs and then the results that are related with these needs, you have also to fill out the target groups that relate to these needs and to which these results will be channeled towards. And the thing is that at some point it is like a graph that you have to fill out, and everything has to be interlinked to each other, which means that if, in a hypothetical example, we aim to build a summer school for new mobility and transport lifestyles, and we aim to invite researchers or academics, scientists, and students, and we will only promise that our dissemination and exploitation and communication measures will be a final conference after the 3rd year or some press releases. So it seems like we have copied and pasted the dissemination, exploitation, communication measures from some other proposal, because here it's a summer school. So we may have students who will enroll. We may have also, in a 3-year project, we might have 2 or even 3 summer schools, which means that everything has to be related to each other. It's not difficult, but on the other hand, it's not as easy as it seems. And on this, please feel comfortable to ask questions now, or we can keep them for the round table. But I would like to also hear your views and your concerns there. So some final remarks now about the impact canvas. As I said before, it's not as easy as it seems. I will provide also some information about this. and it needs hands-on practice. And okay, we all know this practice makes a master, and it will be ideal actually if the impact canvas will be filled out interactively amongst the partners of the consortium. So you can put this as a Google Doc and open a Zoom session like the one that we now have, but not in a webinar fashion, but in an interactive fashion, so that you can talk to each other and interactively add things there. It might cost you 2 hours or 3 hours, but it might be all worth there. And it needs time. So it's not good if you leave it for the last moment. And what I would suggest is actually do start your proposals from this section and then care to build and elaborate on the other parts. And on this, actually, I have been intensively discussing with other colleagues, partners, people who are same much experienced and specialized in proposal writing. And I have to tell you that there are many of us that have not seen this threat there, that it seems easy, but people have failed to practice on it. And for example, one consultant that I have worked with him in the past for many years, he told me that he would keep the same outlines that he used in the past. And for him, this impact canvas is only something that is a decorative element, something that improves the aesthetics of the proposal, which is not the case. So I would actually strongly recommend and advise and suggest to you that you should start all proposals from this section, be them proposals that they have been submitted in the past, or be them proposals that you now start writing from scratch on a zero basis. And I would again provide another example. In the past, we had submitted a proposal, and now it got a good score, but it was not financed. And now we consider to resubmit it. And we asked the partners there, the core partners, to simply do the following as a homework: to use the template of the impact canvas and try put their information that would come either from the old proposal or would reflect the mentality and what are the expectations of the new call in Horizon Europe. From a partner of several committed partners, only 2 replied, making, so to say, their homework, and the quality of the input we had in this impact canvas, it was very low, which means that the reason is not necessarily that people are lazy or are not comfortable with the idea of assigning them tasks. It's only because the business model canvas, also of Osterwalder, is something that makes people feel that it's easy to provide information. And then they see there that it's not as easy, it's not trivial, and then they have information that it's not convincing. So it's not providing any evidence that the people will win their proposal. So other points for the new template about section 1.1, objectives and ambition, as it is now called. As I said before, it combines and integrates following of the old template: section 1.1, objectives; section 1.2, relation to the work program; section 1.3a, only the concept; and section 1.4, the ambition. So now, all these have now to fit into 4 pages. Of course, this is a suggestion. You could come up with 5 pages or with 6, or in case you prefer, even with 10 or 12. But I think that if someone suggests that they would prefer 4 pages, they may also have something in mind, which we will discuss now. And if now someone might dare to compare how many are the pages that we needed for all these sections in the old template, I think that some of you might write in the question and answer session. I will also check it. The new proposal, I see one question, Bülent asked me if we could share the new proposal format. Yes, I will. We will take care so that it will be on the website so that you can download it. And the quality is the measures taken, the I and P rights and confidentiality of proposal. I didn't understand exactly your second question, Bülent. You may rephrase it, or we can then discuss privately, or you can rephrase it or ask it in the roundtable later. But the thing is that this section that we are supposed now to fill out only 4 pages with information. In the past, people needed 20 pages or even more to provide all this information. So what does this mean? This means, for me at least, that we may need to change the ways, the methods, the approaches that we were using for writing our proposals. And this co-creation aspect that Odysseas mentioned before, and the idea of agile processes is something that is now affecting the way that proposals, or at least successful proposals, have to be written. So the old idea that an academic in his golden ivory tower, separated from the world, was writing something that might look like a journal paper, but it was submitted as a proposal, it's not at all a winner scenario. So now we might need agility, we might need a team that would very quickly put down on paper their ideas using the impact canvas, and then very quickly come up with 4 pages where they actually, this new template is ideal because you can state your objective and also relate each objective with its ambition, and also say a few words about how relevant it is to this call you are addressing, and then also present your concept, which means that actually the only problem of the new template is that many of us have been used, trained, educated in the old templates. And the longer we keep our minds and our heart and minds and eyes looking to the past, the more momentum we lose for the Horizon Europe proposal templates. I see now a new question is reformulated. It's about the intellectual and proprietary rights of proposal, how it's concerned. This is a very relevant question, Bülent. I will elaborate on this later, and I had in mind actually to ask some questions to Odysseas in the roundtable discussion, and there so you will get answers for sure on this aspect, on this question. So some other points about the new section 1.2, the methodology. This actually corresponds only to the old section 1.3b methodology. And it also includes some references to national or international research and innovation activities that are linked to our proposal, which was in the past subsection or organically belonging to the concept subsection. But here it needs 15 pages, or they suggest 15 pages. And from our collective experiences, the methodology section in the old templates, so section 1.3b, it took 2 pages, 3 pages only, 4 pages. But now someone might say, for God's sake, now we have 15 pages. What are we going to do with 15 pages? And it is in this respect that actually we need to change the way we were thinking about our proposal. So for me, the ideal workflow is you very quickly meet with other people that you are committed to write together a proposal. You put all information in the impact canvas. And then, again, in a very quick and agile way, you build the objectives and ambition part, only 4 pages. And then once you are done with these 2 milestones, you could then dedicate time to build your methodology, which will be then reflected into section 3, the implementation. Which means that actually, I think that people who start now from scratch and who will not be educated by veterans that have been working for many years in framework program proposal writing tasks, they will have an advantage. So this is a case for me, definitely, this is my personal opinion, of course, that newcomers have an advantage if they know how to use it. So for both sections 1.1 and 1.2, we shall need to seriously think on how we are going to build our narratives. The term narratives is something that also the Commission uses officially in their documents. And so you see there, they mention the term explicit, that this section should be presenting as a narrative. So they would like to receive a smooth, complete, and consistent story. And there I have also some other example from a failure story, a recent failure story, which means that they are not there meant to finance someone's research agenda if the research agenda is not close to what the proposal is about. And this means that some ways that we had to accommodate some tasks or some work packages that were not very relevant to the project, but still people would have the opportunity to carry out their research or have some PhD students doing some research or some postdoctoral research. This is not anymore helping us win a project. So now some conclusions. The new proposal template, as any other, has to be lived in by the people. And there is this Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours rule. So for me, it might not be that you would need 10,000 hours, but one participant in a previous event for another thematic area, so it was not about transport and mobility, who was invited, and he presented a success story from Turkey with his company. He came up with an estimate of 3,000 hours that they have devoted collectively for engineering a success. But 3,000 hours is a serious investment. And as I said before, less pages does not necessarily mean less effort. And as I said, the impact canvas is tricky. It looks simple, but has to be filled out with good quality information. And for me, I would strongly recommend that you should regard the impact canvas as your starting point for writing a proposal. Now, I will cover some aspects related to evaluation. I would like to only mention few remarks about the technology readiness level. I'm sure you all know the term. It appeared out of the blue in the Horizon 2020 proposals, where several call topics were mentioning that your proposal should start from TRL X and conclude to TRL Y. First of all, it's not a new thing. It might be a novelty for Europe, but it was something that NASA was using since the 1970s. So I would not like that someone makes any comments, ironic comments about that in Europe we discovered things that NASA or USA were using for many years. The thing there is that while for some work programs and some calls, there was always some mention about TRLs, some other calls or work programs were ignoring them. So it is not uncommon if some calls in Horizon 2020, they were ignoring totally TRLs, and some others were mentioning them amongst other things, or some others were very rigorously sticking to TRLs and were giving suggestions a proposal should start with TRL X and conclude with TRL Y. Now, the practical reality with TRLs is that because there is no one there who can officially certificate whether some technology is a TRL 4 or 5, people were, so it actually, I would feel tempted to say that it might seem like a Nasreddin Hoxha story, in which respect that, okay, imagine that I would appear in a proposal and there the requested TRL is 4. And I say that, okay, my technology offering is satisfying this criterion, so I'm TRL 4. And then for some reason, we find out that this is not a good call to apply for, and let's apply to another call. But there, the TRL level is 5. And then I would say, okay, it's also 5. And so people were speculatively increasing or decreasing the TRL levels, and this is also something that also was known to the Commission. Now, what I would suggest is that once you name your technology, or it might be a concept, as you see here, TRL2 can be a concept or some basic principles. So once you name that you contribute to a proposal with some technology that is found at some specific TRL level, it is good to provide some grounding and some additional accompanying information for this, which means that at some point for a technology that is found at the TRL level 2 or 1, I would expect that people may have presented this as a paper, even as a position paper in some conference. So the more grounding you can provide for the TRLs, the better for you. So this is all in general, the evaluation process. So you see proposals are received from the Commission, and then there is a round of individual evaluations, and then consensus group and panel review and finalization. And I will come back to this with some examples later. But the thing is that, and all this is supposed to take place over 8 months maximum from the time that evaluation starts, a proposal is submitted and evaluation starts till a project starts, the grant has been signed. Now, there are 3 aspects that count for the evaluation. And these are reflected in the 3 distinct sections of the proposals: excellence, impact, and implementation. I think that I will not say something new to you, but we are all used that people spent about 80% of their time to produce a proposal for the excellence part and the implementation, which means that the impact section is like a stepchild, like Cinderella, so people don't care much about impact. And in many cases, consortia are very happy when they will find one person to assign to that person the entire impact section. This is not a good practice, and this is not a good practice because at the end, there is a price to pay for it. And this is when consortia may get an excellence score of 4.5 and an impact score of 3.5. Now, what might be the problem about outsourcing the impact? People will write a very general, generic impact section. So they will mention, for instance, in case of a mobility and transport proposal, someone might there present relevant conferences for mobility and transport. And then we will write that we will have a web page and operate social media and social networks, and that's it. So this is not a convincing way to win a project, especially when one considers that there is a fierce competition there, which means that the same type of detail work that excellence in implementation needs, it's also needed for the impact section. So here I will provide with some anecdotal evidence from my side about how things actually are. And I have 2 examples, 2 practical examples. So it's not, actually, one might consider them as war stories, but they are not fictitious or hypothetical, like the airport's example in the impact canvas of the proposals of the Commission's template, for the proposal template. So the first case, this was a call of 2016. It was at the time that I was still in the University of Passau in Germany. So I was personally involved in this. And this was for a proposal that was submitted for the secure society, so now what is called the civil security cluster. And this was a proposal. As you see, we got 14 as an overall evaluation result, and excellence, we got 5. And for impact, we got 4.5. Same also for the quality and efficiency of implementation. So all in all, it was a very successful outcome. But this is only the one side of the coin. The thing is that a year before, we had submitted the same proposal. Okay, it might be wrong to say that it is the same proposal, but because we have improved it and submitted it 1 year after, but it was the same proposal actually. Okay, not the same consortium, the text was different, many things were different, but it was like in the automotive industry that we have a first generation Golf for Volkswagen, and then comes the second generation, same for all industrial products. Now, in that case, as you see, we got 9 as evaluation result, and the excellence was a 2.5. So it's a serious case. It was a very, so you see, 2 is fair, 3 is good. So our proposal was evaluated as 2.5, so it was not even good. It was good minus or fair plus. And the impact was a little higher, and the quality of implementation was also good, but not something worthier. And the question is, there have been changes and improvements in the idea, the consortium, the proposal, but do these changes justify a change from 9 to 14? I feel that it's not a trivial thing to answer, even for myself, that I was involved there. And what happened? Did we come the second year with a more convincing story, a better consortium? Of course, we improved the consortium. It changed the evaluator attitudes. Was there any lobbying, politics, all of the above, none of the above? Actually, no one knows. And this is something that the Commission always promotes, that several processes should be transparent, but the human factor is always there. So we may like some people or we may not like some people for many reasons. So this is something, the dynamics of a group that evaluates a proposal, but it's also the dynamics of the individual evaluators, that we take in our hands a proposal, and it's somehow a destiny matter that we will fall in love with this or we will not fall in love with this. Now, another case here. So this was a case where we got from 9 to 14 and we got funded. So now let's see a case where we hoped for the best, but we got the worst. And so this was a proposal. It was, again, I was part of it, so I'm not sharing with you information that came to my hands not in a proper way. And again, I was participating. It was for the inclusive reflective societies, and it was a proposal that got 10.5. Excellence was 3.5, as you can see here. In the previous case, you remember, excellence was 2.5. For many of you, you might think that a proposal that was submitted once and got for excellence 2.5 is a no-go. So we should recycle it, we should burn it, we should throw it to the garbage, but we should not consider it, which is not the right approach, because it might still be that the core idea may be very good, but one needs a little more time and effort to make it look excellent. So it's like one gets a diamond that has not been processed at all. Okay, so in that case, we had 3.5 for excellence, so it was much better. And we got also 3.5 for impact. And again, we got 3.5 for the quality and efficiency of the implementation. So with 10.5, one could feel that, okay, it's all worth that we proceed with resubmission, which we did. And see here the results. From 10.5, we ended up in 6.5. 6.5, it's serious. And we got 2.5 for excellence, 2.5 for impact, and 1.5 for implementation. So I will bring also another example, but I see there are some questions. Okay, no, it's okay. So I see Bulend also asks me about something that I feel I can answer this now, that the time scale between proposal opening and the deadline is too insufficient. Yes. And on this, it is something that in many cases, people may start writing their proposals from a very early on stage, which means that they would not expect the official opening of a call so that they would respond to them. They might start working much earlier about this. And so when in many cases there are consortia that they have already a draft complete version of the proposal by the time that the official calls open. But it's also a matter of how people use the time. So if you use the time to start from the ideation phase, it might be too insufficient the time. But if you know exactly how you will work and you have the team there, it might still be okay. But in this respect, in many cases, proposals that have been submitted in the past, they have an advantage there. So now I will also bring you another more recent example. And this is a proposal that got 12. And it got for excellence 4.5. And it got for impact 4. And for quality and efficiency of implementation, it got a 3.5. So someone might say, how did you manage to get a lower score for quality and efficiency of implementation? And there I have no problem to tell you that what happened was the following, that which is not uncommon at all. Some people that were from the research side, they wanted to accommodate certain parts for their future research agendas. And they thought that, okay, we can put them under specific tasks and work packages, which means that we wasted work packages, resources, and tasks for things that would be very relevant to the specific partners, but they were not making any sense for the proposal and the consortium. And this is something that we had to pay the price for it, and we were punished for this. But the thing is that at some point, one has to also be diplomatic with other partners, and you might try to convince a partner, but they might stick to their opinions and think that, no, we have to have such a task. And then it's difficult to, so unless someone might seriously veto the entire proposal submission and hold the entire proposal submission, it's difficult. So sometimes when it gets political, don't forget what they say also, that a camel is a horse designed by a committee. So in this respect, if the commission asked for a horse, we managed there to provide a camel, and not a very nice looking camel. So again, there are cases where it's difficult to convince people to do the right thing, or it's difficult to convince people to not do the wrong thing. So again, the question, there have been change improvements in all aspects. I'm now mentioning the previous proposal that goes from 10.5 to 6.5. But again, it's difficult to find out what actually was the reason that we failed. And sometimes there are many aspects there. And there is always the case that a proposal that has been submitted 1 year before, it may have reflected a different zeitgeist than the one after 1 year. Okay? So I will be concluding, and as you may see, at some point, it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, that the new proposal template asks for, in which respect that at some extent proposals have to be convincing, like a sales pitch in Dragon's Den, and at some point it is also as if the Commission is asking for Europe's next top startups. This actually is something that has affected also the modalities or the templates that the Commission is asking us to fill out. For instance, in the accelerator program, they have a short proposal phase, and there they ask a pitch deck of maximum 10 slides and also a video of maximum 3 minutes. This means that you have to catch people's attention and offer something attractive and worth for them to like. Otherwise, you are lost. And the short proposal that they are asking information for, apart from the pitch deck, the slides, the maximum 10 slides, and the video of 3 minutes, looks like this. So, and some questions are multiple choice, and some other questions, like this, describe your solution, they ask people to fill out with 1,000 characters, not 1,000 words, only 1,000 characters, which means that it's not like it was in the past framework programs or even Horizon 2020. Now it has to be very brief, up to the point, and radiating self-confidence. And these are actually some qualities that academics, scientists, but also many people in industry who deal with research and development are not their, let's say, most apparent competence. What I mean here is, I have a photo here. This comes from a very famous conference in physics. It is the Solvay Conference on Physics. It is actually from the conference that took place in 1925 or 27, I think, in Paris. And as you see here, there are many big names. So we have, there is Einstein, there is Marie Curie. So, you know, nowadays we have a program that uses her name, and there is Niels Bohr, and there is Heisenberg, there is many big names there. So we all know their names from the high school physics, or people who studied physics. They may have spent many nights reading books or using formulas of these people. Now, can you imagine now these people preparing proposals where they have to write about the dissemination and exploitation communications measures, and that Einstein might, for instance, operate a Twitter account or have an Instagram account, or that they might need to present their ideas in 3-minute videos or in 10 slides. So the thing is that this is how things are, and we have to get used to these. This does not mean that 10 slides and a 3-minute video will be generic and only of low quality and not convincing at all. No, it can be very high quality, but it needs time. So while in the old paradigms, one might copy and paste from a recently submitted paper, the state of the art, and put it there in the ambition section. Now, this is not anymore possible because we have only to write 4 pages. And in this respect, a presentation of a proposal ideas into 10 slides, like it is for Accelerator, not for the other research innovation actions, but again, it needs some other type of resources, some other type of mentality, and it needs also some other type of teams that will work together to win a proposal. This is another more recent example. So, okay, with the physics, you might think that, okay, it's still a very good example that you use at Amandius, but it's not very relevant. This is the first page of Tim Berners-Lee proposal to CERN for what we now use and we call the World Wide Web. As you see, this proposal was assessed as vague but exciting, using the modalities that are nowadays used for proposal evaluation. It's for sure that it would have been rejected as non-convincing, which means that whatever recipes for success we followed in the past, we might need to forget them a little bit and see there how we can adapt ourselves to the new modalities and templates and instruments. And it's not difficult at all, but it needs us to leave our comfort zone of the past framework programs and see how best we can address this brave new world. And I will be anytime accessible. I will now check the questions, but I will be anytime accessible in case you have any questions, so you can write to me and I will be very happy to provide any information. And in case there are no questions about the intellectual and property rights, it is something, Bülent, that we have to accommodate this in the impact section. And there, as part of the dissemination, exploitation, and communication measures, we can very explicitly mention in a table, so using a tabular form, for every result to mention explicitly who is the owner, so that it will not seem like we are building several things, but ownership is joint or collective, unless we commit that we have an open source software that we build. But again, this has to be stated and specific clauses have to be mentioned. So I think that this is all from my side, and I will stop sharing the screen, and I don't know how much I'm in time or I have exceeded my time, because now I will like to pass the floor to Miriam. And Miriam, you should feel comfortable also in case you might have any, not questions, but objections to what I was saying before. And this is actually something that I know sometimes in training, we don't like to be told that this is right, but also something else is right. But I think that here it's mainly about you, the participants, to build your own know-how and process flows. And on this, you might use what advice might be more convenient to you. So in this respect, Miriam, feel comfortable to pose any objections. And actually, what I will do now, so that I will pass the floor to you, I will introduce you. And Miriam De Angelis has, in the last 10 years, been actively contributing to the management of more than 10 different transport-related projects, all of which have been funded by EU framework programs. And in Horizon 2020, Miriam is the national contact point for the Challenge Smart, Green and Integrated Transport, and also for the Challenge Climate Action, Resource Efficiency and Raw Materials. And Miriam coordinated the ETNA 2020 project, which is the European network of the Horizon 2020 national contact points for smart, green, and integrated transport. And in Horizon Europe, she is the national contact point for Cluster 5 on climate, energy, and mobility. So, Miriam, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Adamantius. I have no objections at all. I believe that your presentation was perfectly on point and very, very useful. Now, let me share the screen. Okay. So we can start with this presentation, this session 3. We will focus on the climate, energy, and mobility topics, namely Destination 5 and Destination 6. I won't go through my very brief bio since Adamantios already did it. Thank you again. Neither I will focus on the rules for participation. The only thing that I would like to underline very briefly, since we don't have much time, are the eligible activities under Horizon Europe. This has been mentioned before, but since we are going to use these so-called types of action later on in my presentation, I believe it's worthy to again refresh these concepts. First of all, we must underline the fact that not all the activities are eligible under Horizon Europe. There are many types of action defining which activities are indeed to be included in our proposals, but for the sake of simplicity and let's say brevity, we are today just underline 3 of them: research and innovation action, innovation actions, and coordination and support actions, which we will find again in the topics. So what research and innovation action means? It means that this calls for proposals will fund activities primarily aiming at establishing new knowledge or explore the feasibility of a certain technology, service, and in general product or innovative solution. Therefore, research and innovation actions may include basic and applied research, technology development, integration of technologies, testing activities, demonstration and validation activities, but on a small scale prototype in a laboratory or simulated environment. The peculiarity, the main character of such a type of action is the fact that the proposers may be funded up to 100% of their eligible costs. Instead, the innovation actions, they sort of cover the part of the spectrum that is left uncovered by the research and innovation actions. Meaning that they will fund activities aiming at producing plans and arrangements or designs for new or improved technological or in general innovative solutions. We are talking about prototyping activities, testing, demonstration, pilot projects, large-scale product validation up to the market replication. In this case, anyway, the funding rate for proposers is a bit lower, is a bit smaller, and especially for, the for-profit organizations. which may be granted with up to 70% of their eligible costs. Instead, if you are a non-profit organization or legal entity, for instance, a university, a municipality, you can still get up to 100% of your eligible costs. So summarizing, under the innovation actions, for-profit organizations like companies, small and medium enterprises, private research organizations get to up 70% of their eligible costs, while the non-profit organizations can get up to 100% of their eligible costs. And at last, we have the coordination actions. This is another type of action covering all the activities contributing to the objectives of the program, but not including strictly research and innovation activities. Therefore, we are talking about networking, awareness raising, dissemination activities, stakeholder engagement activities, and so on. Also in this case, for all the type of legal entities, for all the type of organizations, the funding rate is up to 100% of the total eligible costs. Now, having brushed up these main basic concept, we can go forward by looking at the cluster 5. First of all, in general, where it is located. As you have seen earlier today, it was already presented the structure of Horizon Europe. You can find climate, energy and mobility cluster under the second pillar of Horizon Europe. Once we have located the climate, energy and mobility cluster, let's see what are the aims of such a cluster. The aim is to fight climate change by better understanding the causes, the evolution, the risks, impacts, and opportunities by making the energy and the transport sectors climate neutral, environment friendly, efficient, competitive, smarter, safer, resilient, and also useful for the citizens and societies. For what concerns the calls for the topics that we may find under these clusters, we need to know that not all of them are included in the work program that we are covering today, because the strategic objectives of Cluster 5 are in fact supported by the Destination 5 and 6 of this work program, but also by the institutional European partnership, which will have different work programs, different topics, which will be published later on the next year, expectedly. Under instead let's say strategy point of view, the policies point of view, European policies point of view, the Cluster 5 is inspired by, of course, the European Green Deal, the Climate Pact, the Strategic Transport Research and Innovation Agenda, and the European Circular Economy Action Plan. What interests us today is the, of course, Strategic Transport Research and Innovation Agenda, which I recommend to go and check whether you are in fact interested in submitting a proposal under cluster 5. Also on your right, you will find the intervention areas covered by cluster 5, and for what concerns transport, the last 3 or 2 are the main important: communities and cities, smart mobility, clean, safe and accessible transport and mobility. Sorry. Now, let's talk about the destinations, and we will focus on 5 and 6. At each destination, at each of these 2 destinations will correspond a specific impact defined by the European Commission. As for the destination 5, clean and competitive solutions for all transport modes, the impact is to achieve climate neutral mobility through clean solutions across all transport modes. But please remember that not all the transport modes are going to be considered by the topics that we will take into consideration, since rail and the air transport management is air traffic management, sorry, is covered by a different work program under each dedicated, the related, sorry, institutional European partnership. So clean solution across all transport mode except rail, while increasing global competitiveness of the EU transport sector. While the destination number 6, which is titled Safe, Resilient Transport and Smart Mobility Services for Passengers and Goods, has the impact of achieving safe, seamless, smart, inclusive, resilient, climate neutral and sustainable mobility systems for people as well as for goods. So we are talking about not only the mobility for people, but also for freight, thanks to user-centric technologies and services, including digital technologies and advanced satellite navigation services. All the actions, all the projects founded under these 2 destinations must help to deliver the respective main impacts. That is why we need to take these into account when we go and write down a proposal. Now let's have a look at the budget distribution. Again, we can focus on destination 5 and in destination 6, those in this purple color. And as you can see, we have more or less the same number of topics for both 2021, for a total, let's say in total for 2021 and 2022. Destination 5 with 31 topics and destination 6 for 28 with 28 topics. And as for the budget in million euros, you can check the figures. We have almost 500, more than 500 million euros for destination 5 and almost 400 million euros for destination 6. Even though they are not the, well, they cannot be compared with the destination 3. Anyway, they are quite financially rich, let's say. Let's have a look at the calls so we understand what we have on the table for this year and for the next one. In 2021, we have one stage call for destination 5, as well as a one stage call for destination 6, while in 2022 we have one call for destination 5, but two different calls for destination 6. Now, let's see the topics included in destination 5. This is a destination addressing activities that improve the climate and environmental footprint, as well as the competitiveness of the different transport modes, except for rail, as I said, which will be addressed through a dedicated institutional European partnership, and therefore is not included in this destination. What is included are topics from the co-programmed partnership toward the zero emission road transport, also called 2.0, focusing on user-centric solutions, both technologies and services for road-based mobility, increased user acceptance and improve their quality, decharging infrastructure concepts and technology that include vehicle grid interactions, innovative use cases for the integration of zero emission vehicles and infrastructure concepts for the road mobility of people and freight. And at last, effective design, assessment, and deployment of innovative concepts in road vehicles and mobility services, thanks to a better life cycle analysis tools and skills. Now let's see topic by topic what we are talking about. The first topic covered by 2.0, included, sorry, in the area of 2.0 is titled, devoted to next-gen vehicles and specifically to innovative zero-emission battery electric vehicles architectures for regional medium freight haulage. This is an innovation action and in fact the targeted technology readiness level that Adamantios has explained very deeply and very well are technology readiness level 7 or 8, so quite high. The budget per proposal will be between 10 and 15 million euros. This is just a recommendation by the European Commission. You can, your proposal can ask for more or for less, but these must be justified by the activities and by the content of your proposal. And the deadline, which of course is to be confirmed, since such the topics, such a call for proposals are not opened yet, officially opened yet, is the 14th of September of this year. Next topic that we have under this 2.0 area is dedicated to the next gen electric vehicle components with a focus on integration of advanced power electronics and associated controls. This instead is a research and innovation action. Therefore, the TRL to be targeted are quite lower, meaning 5 or 6, and also the budget per proposal is a bit lower and goes from 4 to 6 million euros. Again, this is just an orientative information. This is not mandatory. A third topic under 2.0 is the one devoted to system approach to achieve optimize smart e-vehicle charging and vehicle to grid flexibility in mass deployment conditions. This is a research and innovation action with targeted TRLs of 5 to 7 and a budget per grant going from 7 to 10 million euros. The last topic, it's a sort of a collaboration between two different co-programmed partnerships, 2.0 and the batteries. And in fact, this is focusing on the LCA and design for life cycle assessment and design for sustainable circularity, holistic approach for zero emission mobility solutions and related battery value chain. This is a coordination and support action, so this topic won't be founding activities, research activities of technology development activities. This is a supporting action which indeed identify as budget per grant only 4 million euros. But under destination 5, as said, we will find also some other transport modes. And in fact, there are topics on collaborative aviation research focusing on low technology readiness level from 1 to 4, meaning the technologies founded under this part of destination 5 will be focusing on low technology readiness level and specifically pre-competitive fundamental aviation research and technologies for future development, validation and integration activities. Why so? Because the development, integration and validation of aviation technologies with higher TRL from 4 to 6, as well as for possible for the earliest possible development, as well as all the propulsion technologies for the integration at the engine level will fall under the institutionalized partnership on clean aviation, which is not included, as I said, in Cluster 5 work program. Also, the air traffic management will be covered by another institutionalized partnership, dedicated institutionalized partnership, which is not included in this work program. So the topic under Destination 5 will focus on technologies based on new energy carriers, hybrid electric architectures, next generation of ultra-high efficient engines and new aircraft configurations, new technologies for significant lower air pollution and noise, and passenger protection and the general resilience of the aviation sector to the external shocks. In a time of a pandemic, of course, also health issues are to be considered along with manufacturing operations and cyber security. We have only 2 topics in this area. The first one is a research and innovation action dedicated to greenhouse gas aviation emissions, namely technology, the development of technologies that can reduce such emissions in order to achieve the climate neutrality by 2050. the targeted TRL is 4, and the budget per grant goes from 2 to 6 million euros. The second topic is the next generation digital aircraft transformation in design, manufacturing, integration, and maintenance. Again, the technology readiness level is 4, and the budget per grant is 3 to 6 million euros. What about the waterborne transport? Well, Destination 5 includes a topic from the co-programmed partnership on zero emission waterborne transport, specifically focusing on the deployment of climate neutral fuels and significant electrification of shipping, energy efficient and lower fuel consumption of vessels, innovative port infrastructure, including bunkering of alternative fuels and provision of electrical power, clean inland waterways, waterway vessels, integration of maritime and inland shipping into logistic chains facilitated by digitalization and automation, and at last, fully automated shipping, both maritime and inland, and the efficient connectivity. Under this area, we have a higher number of topics, as you can see. They are 10, I guess, 1, 2, 3, 8. They are 8. And they are covering all these areas that I mentioned earlier of the waterborne transport. The first one is about enabling the safe and efficient onboard storage and integration within ships of large quantities of ammonia and hydrogen fuels. The second one is about enabling the full integration of power fuel cells in ship design using cogeneration and combined cycle solution. The third one is about identifying a waterborne sustainable fuel development scenario. This is a coordination and support action anyway. The fourth topic is about innovative onboard energy saving solutions. The next topic is about hyper-powered vessel battery charging system. This is an innovation action, therefore the TRL to be targeted are higher. They can go up to 7. The next topic is about assessing and preventing methane slip from LNG engines in all conditions within both existing and new vessels. The next topic is about the digital twin for green ship operations. And the last one is about proving the feasibility of a large clean ammonia marine engine. Here we have as a budget per proposal 10 million euros. This is the this is an innovation action again. As you can see, in general, innovation actions require a higher budget, and of course they aim to higher technology readiness level as anticipated. The last part of this Destination 5 instead revolves around the impact of transport on the health of the environment and of the people, on human health. And it specifically targets the reduction of the road vehicles polluting emissions from both the existing and new fleets, the prevention of smog episodes, and a better understanding of the impact of air and noise pollution on human health. The proposals are invited to take into consideration the differences, the sex and gender differences in this perspective, in this regard. The topics under this part of Destination 5 also deal with monitoring, the monitoring of the environment performance and enforcement of the regulation of fleets of transport vehicles on road, in the airports and in ports. Another focus is the reduction of noise emitted by high-duty vehicles, and specifically L category road vehicles. And at last, the last focus is about reduction of the overall environmental impact of transport with relation with biodiversity, noise, pollution, and waste. In this case, anyway, we have only 2 topics in 2021. Then we will add others in 2022. The first topic is about the development and demonstration of cost-affordable and adaptable retrofit solution for tailpipe and brake polluting emissions. This is an innovation action with a targeted technology readiness level of 8 and a budget per proposal from 4 to 5. While the second topic is about the assessment of noise and particle emissions of the L category vehicles from real driving conditions. Instead, this is a research and innovation action with the technology readiness level to be targeted up to 6. And at last, in this Destination 5, we have one topic which is considered cross-cutting, basically because this is a coordination and support action covering the support for the dissemination events in the field of transport research. This deals with the organization of the famous Transport Research Arena event, which is organized every 2 years by the European Commission and by the consortium applying for this topic, for this call for proposal. The general overview of this destination is offered in this slide. Under the perspective of the types of action, we have few more research and innovation actions compared with the innovation action, and 4 coordination and support action supporting the actions founded under the other types. While in terms of budget, this is more or less evenly distributed between 2021 and 2022. Now let's have a look at Destination 6. Destination 6 is also very heterogeneous internally, with several areas covered. The first one includes topics from the co-programmed partnership on connected, cooperative, and automated mobility, also known as CCAM, with a focus on validated safety and security, improved robustness and resilience of CCAM technologies and systems, interaction between road users, SECAM, and conventional vehicles, infrastructure and services, seamless, affordable, and user-oriented, connected, cooperative, and automated mobility-based and goods, better coordination of research and innovation and large-scale testing activities in Europe. And we must take into account that these topics are focusing on road transport, but relevant interfaces with other modes, for instance, transfer and integration with public transport or rail freight transport, can be also considered by the proposal and by the topic. The automated mobility has 6 topics. The first one is about a more powerful and reliable onboard perception and decision-making technologies, and it's an innovation action with targeted technology readiness level of 6 or 7. As you can see, also the deadline is a bit further compared with the deadline of the other topic, the previous topics, since the deadline for these topics is set on the 19th of October 2021. The second topic is about approaches for the safety validation of the connected, cooperative, and autonomous mobility systems. This is a research and innovation action, but with quite a high budget per proposal, which goes from 12 to 15 million euros. The third topic is about physical and digital infrastructure, connectivity and cooperation enabling and supporting SECAM, the automated mobility. It's an innovation action. And the next topic deals with cyber secure and resilient automated mobility. The next topic is about the analysis of socio-economic and environmental impacts and assessment of societal, citizen, and user aspects for needs-based SECAM solutions. And at last, we have a topic covering the framework for better coordination of large-scale demonstration pilots in Europe and EU-wide knowledge base. We don't know, since it's not mentioned, the targeted technology readiness level. The next part of Destination 6 is focusing on multimodal and sustainable transport systems for passenger and goods, targeting specifically physical and digital infrastructure, long-haul, regional and urban freight transport and logistics. The costs, the external costs, for instance, congestion, traffic jams, emissions, pollution of different type, and road collisions of the short and long distance freight transport, as well as the optimized network efficiency and resilience. And at last, we will find a few references regarding the local and regional capacity for governance and innovation in urban mobility and logistics, so at the urban level. Only 3 topics can be found in 2021 in this area. The first one is about multimodal freight transport nodes to increase flexibility, service visibility, and reduce the average costs of freight transport. This is an innovation action. The second topic is about new delivery method and business operating models to green the last mile and optimize the road transport. And the last topic is focusing on climate resilient and environmentally sustainable transport infrastructure, with a specific focus on inland waterways. Now let's see the last component of Destination 6, which is the area safety and resilience per mode and across the different transport modes. In fact, this section, this part of Destination 6 targets safety in urban areas with the focus on road transport, namely. Then the waterborne safety and resilience, and the aviation safety and resilience. Let's say the approach here should be mainly technological, though the European Commission is requesting also to consider regulations and human factors, like individual and organizational aspects or the interaction with the automation. Under this area, we can find 4 topics. The first one is about testing safe, lightweight vehicles and improved safe human technology interaction in the future traffic system. The second one is about the improvement of road safety in low and medium income countries in Africa. So we will have a geographical focus on Africa. The third topic is about infection on large passenger ships, cruise ships, and so on. And the fourth topic is about the automation and human factors in aviation, intelligent integration and assistance. The general overview of this destination shows a very balanced scenario in terms of types of action, with the same number of research and innovation action and innovation action. Specifically, we have 6 innovation actions in 2021 and 8 in 2022, while the number of research and innovation action stay more or less the same between the 2 years. And in terms of budget, as you can see, there is more budget foreseen in 2022, the part of the cake in orange. And this is all from my side. I'm checking now maybe the question and answer tab, but I can't see any regarding my presentation. I don't know whether I'm missing something.
No, if there are no questions, it's because you possibly did everything right. So don't.
Very good.
Yeah. Don't think at all that there is anything wrong there. Yeah.
Anyway, these are my contacts. So if if you have the need to go into details with something I mentioned during the presentation, please send an email to me. I will be super happy to answer.
Okay, thank you, Miriam. And now we go to a success story. And Emre Elmas is with us to present their own experiences and success story. And Emre has graduated from YGT University, the management department in 2019. And while interested in innovation, Internet of Things, smart cities, he worked also at Kale Group, Urban Arba, and Urbanite Ventures until mid-2019. And after graduation, he started at FARPLUS and FARC Labs, which is FARPLUS Mobility R&D and Innovation Center, as fundraising and project responsible to develop and coordinate new R&D projects on smart mobility, connected and electrical vehicles, digital transformation, and circular economy. So all of these aspects that are covered by today's event. And currently, he is the coordinator of the Revolution project that has been funded with 5 million budget and includes 14 partners from 10 countries. And until now, he fundraised about 1.3 million euro through national and international based research programs like Horizon Europe and EIT on urban mobility, Eureka, and TÜBİTAK programs. So, Emre, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Adamantios, and hi everyone. I hope that everyone is okay and healthy and everything is keeping well for you. Actually, I want to thank you to all participants today for participating in this event, and also to organizers of this event for inviting me today. Actually, I can share my screen. Yeah. Can you see?
Yes, very okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Actually, as Mr. Adamantios has introduced, I'm Emre Elmas. I'm working as fundraising and project responsible at FARPLUS and its R&D center, FARC Labs. Today, I will talk about a bit about FARPLUS and how we manage these European-based R&D programs in FARPLUS. Firstly, I will introduce FARPLUS and what we are doing. Actually, FARPLUS is making its operation under the FARC Holding Group, and FARC Holding Group is investing different industry and sectors. And the main industry is automotive, with it is 4 main companies as FARPLUS, FAREL, FARFORM, and FARERO. And besides automotive industry, also FARC Holding is investing in other sectors with its brand FARC Labs on the mobility, life sciences, sustainable lifestyle, and other sector relevant to FARPLUS and FARC Holdings operations like big data, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and also blockchain. And FARPLUS was established in 1968 and mainly designing, developing, and manufacturing vehicle components and trim parts with its 50 years of experience. Actually, FARPLUS has 4 manufacturing plants in Turkey, and 1 in Romania, and 1 will be in Slovenia. And with its 2 R&D centers in Turkey, that one of them is mainly focusing on the developing digital transformation technologies, lightweighting, and also new materials for automotive industry. And the other R&D center, which name is FARC Labs, is mainly focusing on the mobility technologies to improve the well-being of citizens in the urban area. And also, beside this one, FARPLUS has 2 design and technology centers in abroad. One of them is South Korea, and the other one is Europe, France. And main industrial products of FAR Plus, as you can see in this slide, are instrument panels and console, exterior and interior trim parts, and also electronic-based lighting and sailing systems. Today, we are working with most of national and also global automotive manufacturers to deliver them our products with the high quality. And when we look at our innovation areas, actually, FAR Plus is working for projects mainly on the topics as Industry 4.0 applications for manufacturing excellence, lightweighting new technologies, electrification, and also mobility and smart transportation. With the transformation of automotive industry, actually, these topics are the new drivers in the global area, and we need to develop ourselves and our competencies to provide high quality products and services, and we are shaping our strategy and innovation according to the requirements of industry and our customers, and also we need to shape the future with our innovation and strategy plan. Actually, we are shaping our strategy and innovation with these main forces, as you can see on the slides. And first of all, entrepreneurship in mobility ecosystem. Actually, we believe that to develop new and novel technologies, entrepreneurship is one of the main drivers in the mobility ecosystem. So while we approach new R&D and customer projects, we take the entrepreneurship soul and culture with us, and we can make different and novel solutions. And beside this one, innovation, actually having FAR Plus has an innovation culture with its 50 years of experience, and we are making and shaping our short, mid, and long-term strategy with the basing of innovation. And these help us and support us really effective strategy and shape the future. And beside this one, the digitalization, actually, digitalization is so crucial to increase the efficiency of all process and operations. So we try to digitalize our all process from manufacturing to human resources and management. And this enables FAR Plus to create more digitalized infrastructure and establishment. And these infrastructures enable us to build new projects with the caring, with caring the efficiency, quality, and improvement. On the other side, being global in this competitive world, actually FAR Plus, as I mentioned, is working with different OEMs on global with global automotive manufacturers and also customers from all across the world. And beside this one, we think that being more global is so important, as we established new plants in abroad, we established new design and technology centers, and also with going global support us to collaborate with more partners and to have more partnership with the global stakeholders, and this enhance the knowledge, know-how, and also the experience of FAR Plus in R&D projects to reach new markets, actually. And besides this one, I want to say something about the main activities of FAR Labs, which is our mobility R&D and innovation center. Actually, we have different internal initiatives and programs in FAR Labs that covering the most of fields of the mobility. First of them is the Incubation and Acceleration Program, which has been supported with TÜBİTAK. And with this acceleration program, we are supporting the entrepreneurs and SMEs in mobility, life sciences, sustainable lifestyle, and other relevant sectors with giving them courses and also mentorship supports. Besides this one, with our venture capitals, F+ Ventures and Arya Women Investment Platform, we are investing in mobility technologies, and also we are trying to create some internal initiatives and internal entrepreneurs from our employees and support them. Besides them, as having the vision of future in the FARC Holding Group, FARC Labs as a mobility R&D center is transform the strategy of FARC Plus and FARC Holding Group. And we have different, I said that we have different internal initiatives in FARC Labs, and some example of them in the mobility area. One of them is DUCT. DUCT actually is a micromobility solution for enabling locking and charging of micromobility vehicles as e-bikes, e-scooters, and now DUCT has been spin-off, and actually it delivers its products, its stations to New York, Paris, Istanbul, and other cities we will see in the future. So maybe you can see the DUCT stations in your streets, in your city in near future. And the other initiative is Cooperative. Cooperative is a connected car platform which analyzes the data that comes from vehicle, and we can give some insights to drivers about their performance of driving. And the other internal initiative is ServiceSim. ServiceSim is an employee experience-based application that reroutes the delivery of employees and their connection with the employers. And we are trying to increase the efficiency of employees and their logistic operations with the service application. And while we look at the FARC Plus in European R&D programs, we have currently six funded programs. They are all ongoing now, and 4 of them is under the Horizon 2020 program. One of them is multi-cycle project that has been funded in 2018. The project is mainly focusing on the circularity and the recycling of materials from different industries and reusing of these waste materials and components in the industry, again with the high quality. And the Revolution project, actually in the Revolution project, the coordinator is FARC Plus, and the project has been funded in 2020 and has started in with the beginning of the 2021. And the project is targeting to get over the challenges on using recycled materials in the automotive industry. Actually, maybe you know the requirements and expectation in automotive industry is so high, so producing using recycled materials in the components is so difficult. So with the Revolution projects, we aim to get over these challenges and these problems with the help of artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies, and also with using sensors in the injection molding machines. And one of the main targets of Revolution project is lightweight total weight of vehicles at least 10%. And the other 2 Horizon 2020 funded projects are Teaming AI and I4Q projects. The Teaming AI project also and I4Q project has been started in 2021, with the beginning of 2021. The Teaming AI project is a human-robot collaboration project that increased the efficiency of collaborative robots in the shop floors with the image processing. This project mainly aims to increase the efficiency and safety of collaborative robots and increase the quality of manufactured products in the injection molding machines. And the I4Q projects is mainly focusing on developing new industrial Internet of Things applications in the shop floors that will optimize the process and also increase the efficiency in the manufacturing field with its 24 different solutions like blockchain and other solutions. And as I mentioned, we also trying to support the SMEs and startups in Turkey and also global area. So we had started with a project, an accelerator program with EIT Urban Mobility to support the startups and enhance their project and startup main idea. So we aim to giving courses, mentorships, and also come together these startups with the mobility ecosystem stakeholders to increase their efficiency in the ecosystem. Beside this one, we have one Euroca project, also the Coreback project that aims to lightweight of the components and also developing new manufacturing technologies with the Coreback approach. Actually, as you can see, until now, as FAR Plus, we are trying to come together different disciplines and background each other from out of FAR Plus and also in FAR Plus. So taking different disciplines together support us to run new ideas and also enhance the ideas with different backgrounds and different people's things and thoughts. As an example, I can say that the Revolution project has born like that while we are discussing in our R&D center colleagues how we can solve the challenges in industry on recycling materials. We take together with the material colleagues, material development experts, and also digital transformation experts together, and we have some workshops, some works on that, and mainly we had a successful project. We created a successful project. So I can say that also in Horizon 2020 projects or customer project, it doesn't matter. Taking together different disciplines and making interdisciplinary works is really helpful and also is really necessary in today's world, in today's industry, because we need more covering approach to get over the challenges in industry. So I can say that I can suggest the working with other disciplines is really can be helpful to develop new projects. And while we look at the mobility and transportation in the Horizon Europe and also European Commission's roadmaps, we see that 7 main fields like electrification, alternative fuels, vehicle design and manufacturing, connected and automated transport, infrastructure, network and traffic management system, and also smart mobility and services. While we look at the electrification, we see that the requirements of electric vehicles and also other infrastructure and storage systems, charging systems for increase the efficient use of electric vehicles and other services in our streets. So it's a crucial field, and European Commission has really good expectations from possible proponents to its programs. While we look at the alternative fuels, we see that today's world need new energy resources and also alternative fuels to petrol-based fuels. So to go to a climate neutral industry and also climate neutral cities. And vehicle design and manufacturing side, actually we have really different vehicle types in streets currently, but to increase the use of electric vehicles and to increase the performance of vehicles, we need different type of vehicles, different design of vehicles, and also their manufacturing technologies. So also European Commissions expect the possible proponents this area and with this approach. And the connected and automated transport, it doesn't cover only the delivery of people, also it covers the goods, logistics, good delivers. Actually, now we can see some example in our cities, but in the future, we need the more optimized and more efficient transportation modes with connected and autonomous qualifications. And today, actually, most of organizations in the automotive industry works for different transportation modes, but currently we have really much more variation of these transportation modes. But in here, to have a really more optimized and more efficient use of these transportation modes, we need infrastructures and we need standards. But today we really see different applications and different demonstrators, and also this creates another problems. So European Commission expects some infrastructures to enable these using of these transportation modes in European cities and global cities. Of course, network and traffic management systems is another topic, because currently in cities there are pollution, there are noise, also there are lots of costs in that we lose in traffics and because of the traffic. So developing new network and traffic management systems also is an important topic for European Commissions and its agenda. And of course, smart mobility and services for people and goods is another topic. Actually, I can say that we cannot handle these all topics without the industry and also without the cities applications, smart cities applications. So while reviewing and while trying to understand the expectations and requirements of European Commission, we need to also look at the smart industry and smart city expectations and also their applications, because these technologies will be connected each other and also will affect each other so much. So actually, as the European Commission published in its agenda and roadmaps, also it mentioned these connections and these requirements. So I can say that while we are also developing our projects, we are trying to understand what is the expectation, what is the requirements, what is the necessity and the regulations today and the future that we can see. We trying to understand them, and we trying to develop our projects with considering all of these aspects. So I can suggest that all participants please consider these connections, these technologies, connections with each other, and understand the European Commission's expectations. And while I'm going to my present, I want to say something about the automotive industry of Turkey and also FAR Plus approach in Horizon Europe. Firstly, Turkey automotive industry has really powerful brands and also powerful companies, organizations, and researches. So after 2000, $15 billion has been invested by the global brands in Turkish automotive industry, and only in 2018, 1.5 million vehicles produced in Turkey. As we look at the ranks of Turkey in Europe, the Turkey has second rank in commercial vehicle production, and also Turkey has the rank of fifth in the Europe's automotive production list. Actually, in the global automotive production, Turkey has the 15th rate. And as I said, Turkey has a really powerful and really developed automotive industry. So in Turkey, more than 430 Tier 1 suppliers there are, and with the developing of the TOG brand, that is the national brand of Turkey in the electric vehicles, actually we will see more development and improvement in the Turkish automotive industry. So I can say that in Horizon Europe program, Turkey companies and organizations has really opportunities with their supply chain and their partnerships, today partnerships. So I hope that we will see more successful Turkish companies in near future with the cooperating with European partners. And as a Turkish company, how FAR Plus is planning its strategy in Horizon Europe, actually with considering the current states of world, actually we are trying to decrease our carbon and environmental footprint. Actually, that's so important because we are a plastic manufacturer company, so we need to reduce our carbon and environmental footprint on our products. And of course, to decrease these footprints, we need to implement circular economy principles in our manufacturing plants and also in our while we invest new technologies. So we are taking care of the circular economy principles and we are making our strategy according to that for Horizon Europe programs. And of course, we force ourselves and we develop ourselves to develop more sustainable solutions and products. So we are making our research and making our works according to that and to optimize and increase the efficiency in manufacturing fields. Of course, collaboration with different types of organization is so important. Actually, with the culture of FAR Plus, that collaboration culture, we are making different collaboration, and we are really open to collaborations with other partners. Actually, with these cultures, it is easy for us to work with other partners and possible partners. And in Horizon Europe, like in Horizon 2020, these collaboration culture help us to develop new technologies. And also we, of course, develop ourselves to be more open to these collaborations and cooperations. Actually, we believe that the future of mobility only can be created with collaborating with different organizations like R&D organizations, universities, private sector partners, public authorities, NGOs, and of course with the SMEs and with having the culture and soul of entrepreneurship. So Horizon Europe and its soul of its culture of partnership and collaboration will enhance to develop more impacted results and to provide much more contributions to develop novel and sustainable solutions for the future. And as FAR Plus, we continue hard working for creating, innovating, and developing new technologies and solutions to Turkish and the European and the global industry through Horizon Europe program, with considering, of course, the European Commission's roadmaps and strategy. Actually, these are so important. Actually, until now, how we be successful in Horizon programs, the main reason is that being open to collaboration, having entrepreneurship culture, and understanding of the requirements of the European Commission and also customers. Actually, these are the main drivers to be successful. So we are interested in different topics, of course, in the automotive industry and the mobility industry, like recycled and recyclable vehicles, trim parts, electric vehicles, lightweighting, batteries, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and industrial Internet of Things applications, smart mobility solutions, micro-mobility vehicles, and connected vehicles. As you can see, there are different disciplines, and these different disciplines and having a culture to work together with different backgrounds actually makes us successful. So I can say that. Thank you very much for your listening and for your time. So you can contact with me, my email address that you can see in the slide for any question, or it can be for any speaking. It doesn't matter. So thank you very much for your time.
Emre, many thanks also from our side. And unless, as I see, there are no questions, but please, to all the participants, feel comfortable to write to people, to write to us an email and get in contact with us with any questions or any elaborations on matters we discussed today. So now we have a part that is a roundtable discussion. You can feed this discussion with some questions that you can write to us. Otherwise, we can start, all of us that we were members of the panel, and I think that someone should start first, and I had already accumulated many questions that I had in mind, but something that I think, Odysseus, you are with us, yeah, so that I can ask you something that I wanted to ask you before, when you ended your presentation. You mentioned there the case of European Commission policies and European policies, and I was thinking aloud, anyone of us, as an academic or a researcher working in academia or in a research center or in an industrial company, be it a big company or a small, a new company, a startup, a spin out, but anything. Someone might consider that I mainly care about my research and I mainly care about having access to funding so that I will finance my research. An academic might care to build their research group or continue having people working for research projects there, which means that at some point the question there is that, which is not only to Odysseus, so Miriam, it is also to you, but also to all of us there. So from TÜBİTAK, please, Serhat, feel comfortable to answer this. The question is, for God's sake, one might think that I'm a researcher, I'm a scientist, I am a business person. How should I invest in learning, writing proposals, which is partially some other people's profession, and how much should I invest on learning these, acquiring these skills? And there is always a question there that one may invest, but it will not pay off. And something recent, I was talking with people that have been involved in Green Deal proposals that were submitted in January, and they were frustrated because they received sequential rejections. And the thing there is that giving also some linking it to what I mentioned before, that at some time you submit an excellent proposal and you get a poor result. Sometimes you submit a proposal that you didn't think that it would be promising and you succeed. But the thing is that in this respect, there is something there that may make people, demotivate people to seriously invest and commit, actually. And at some point, it might also be something that a proposal for me that has been submitted and failed, there is no problem there. One can always resubmit it. But if people lose their faith that it is worth, then it is something that many good academics, good people from industry, from research, come back and tell that no, it's time to write a very high quality paper in a journal with high impact factor, or I can even build something, another direction into my research unit. So an academic might sell to industry, an industry person might invest in their business and not. So how do you think, how would you, and actually it's not a question only to discuss, it's therefore that I had in mind that we have a roundtable discussion and we may have different opinions and views appearing. Please, Odysseus, you can start first.
I can start with that. Yes, I can start with that. First of all, I have to say that writing a proposal, it is not anymore 1 month's job. So that may be the case many years ago when we first involved in framework programs, maybe in FP7 or even in FP6, that probably was feasible. So you could, at that point, write a proposal by yourself. But now it needs to be a team effort, which means that you cannot do everything alone. You need to build a team. And in fact, we always say and repeat that in every presentation that we give. Secondly, you need to invest in writing. When you invest time in writing a proposal, you don't just invest into being a better proposal writer. You invest in presenting your idea in a way that other people will understand it. So you, in this case, in our case, you need the EC reviewers to understand your proposal. It may be a different case, maybe investors. So we like it or not, at some point we need to present our ideas, and I'm sure that it's similar in many cases when academics write a paper. They need to communicate the results of their research. It's a similar idea, but only the incentive is different. So if you win, you get a fund and you are able to implement your research, or you are able to attract funding from an investor. Either way, you need to invest in presenting your ideas in a structured matter, in a structured way. And I believe that this new template helps a lot in that, at least more than the previous template did.
I agree, but please, Serhat, Miriam, please, Emre.
Yeah, actually, generally, we are also receiving such, let's say, questions about how to motivate themselves for, in case they fail. We generally, let's say, share the famous quotation of Samuel Beckett: ever tried, ever failed. No matter, try again, fail better until you win. So actually, as Odysseus mentioned, and you also mentioned, it is an investment that you made. You share your time, your own resources. You canalize in an, let's say, one proposal, but it may fail. Actually, we generally advise our stakeholders that please try. It is a learning by doing process. So it will really help for your second submission a lot. This experience, it really matters to experience it. And also, we also share that information that you can use our coordination support. Of course, you have some ability to prepare a proposal, but you can also, let's say, try to, let's say, prepare or write your proposal by another company or another experienced people. So it may also, let's say, shorten your time for preparation. So it may also, let's say, an encouraging factor to resubmit your proposal again with prepare by collaborating with a profession. So these are the options that we generally, let's say, serve as an encouraging factor to our stakeholders.
Yeah, especially that part that you mentioned, Serhat, about not being afraid to fail is something very important. And I have seen myself, for instance, in some countries in Europe, not necessarily Turkey or Greece that I come from, but in some other countries, there is a very there is a lack of a mistakes culture. So mistakes culture means that they should avoid to be associated with a failure. So people might prefer to never submit a proposal on their own than take a risk. And actually there is no risk there, or not much risk. Emre, from your side.
Yeah, actually I can say maybe a few sentences about the motivation on our side, on our approach. Actually, we motivate ourselves in these Horizon programs. Meeting with other people and meeting with other organizations is so important, and learning from them, discussing with them. Actually, really. We can learn from them. Actually, it's so important for us. Actually, it is one of the main drivers in motivation for us. And actually, the other motivation for us is being a part of really innovative and novel technologies that we are developing together with other partners. In Horizon Europe, the projects should be, as you know, really novel and disruptive. And be a part of these disruptive projects really feels good to employees in our company and also ourselves. I think these are, I can say, that key motivations for us. And beside these one, on the company side, actually meeting with different organizations, open new opportunities, give different new opportunities for us to develop other projects, because if let's think that a project has been failed, but we can learn so much things from that projects, and that give us different opportunities to develop other projects, and of course different projects, and also your operations that you are managing in your company or in your department. So I can say that these are the key motivations for us.
Thank you, Emre. Actually, what you mentioned there about the learning aspect, but for own organizational purposes, it might be all worth this exposure. Miriam, I don't know, I have some other questions that came into my mind after Serhat's and Emre's comments. So see what you prefer best, to comment on what I asked before and what Odysseus, Serhat, and Emre came up with their views, or to come up with a new question.
No, well, I would like to reinforce what they both said regarding the the learning experience of applying for the framework program. And I also think that for sure, just being involved in a proposal preparation gives the chance to companies, to any type of organization, to get their hands dirty and to develop a sort of an international approach. It's certainly a good occasion to build connections at the European level, even though the proposal itself won't be founded, but still you get in touch with other realities outside your country. You get to know also what somebody else is doing in your same sector, for example, and this can certainly allow for the further development of your own solutions, for example, the technologies you are working on. And again, this does not mean that by applying you usually you are destined to failure. In many cases, I have seen proposals rejected the first time, sometimes even with the high score, that get founded in the second round or once they get fixed according to the recommendation of the evaluators. Following the recommendations of the evaluators, coming with the rejection letter is, in my opinion, crucial to fix the proposal and to get the higher chances to be founded in a second round or once you apply again.
Good.
Okay.
I will then start now, Miriam, from you, and then we can go the reverse way, and then we may not have any more time, so we will conclude. But something that also Emre mentioned before about that you work together with other people, and it's not only my opinion, but at some point friendship within European projects or amongst European partners may have a very limited lifetime, which means that you may meet people, you may create all this momentum and come close to each other and go for something. If it wins, it's okay. You may continue with them for 3 years or 4 years, but it's difficult to regain momentum and traction. And at some point, people, and this is something that it's not my opinion or my view, but I'm afraid that the mentality is that people want to win. They don't want to learn, or they prefer to learn by working together with someone who is considered winner. And in this respect, they may, in many cases also, they fail to go a little more in depth. What Odysseus you mentioned before, I fully agree. Actually, the new templates are ideal for any company, organization, or research center to develop proposals that are very up to the point, and they can be used in several different settings apart from only a failed European project. But what is your feeling from your side? So from your personal experience, do you see there that there is these pressure that people have to succeed or fail fast, and at some point they prefer that if something it's not going to work and they need to invest too much time, so then they prefer to ignore it or simply change the partners that they have in projects so that they go with some partners that are supposed to be better than looking there to find. So for me, for instance, if I would be a small SME, let's imagine now we are taking the hypothetical case of a Turkish SME in a rural area, and there is close to me a university. They might not have any experiences in EU projects. I might also not have, but I would prefer to work with people that will be there with me for all the years than opportunistically get involved, which means that at some point, I think that people should be more courageous to have a more startup mentality and not be mean for the time that they would invest, and not necessarily care about winning, but about learning. And winning will come as a result of the learning.
I'd say that first of all, you need some
Miriam
experience.
was supposed to answer.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, well, no problem. No problem. Odysseus, you can go first if you.
I was saying that first of all, you need experienced partners if you want to have any luck with your proposal. So you can gain experience only through organizations that already have that experience. If you try alone with inexperienced partners, most probably you will fail. But regarding your question, if you are leaving the proposal and I submit it again, I think sometimes the problem is that many companies, many organizations invest so much time in a proposal that they don't want it to they don't want to let it go, so they keep submitting again and again the same idea and the same concept, although this concept it's not viable, or it has failed, or it is outdated, or whatever. So in fact, many organizations need more of a startup mentality. So, okay, you start with a concept, you submit it once, you apply, you see first of all why it was rejected and the grade that it was rejected with. So you need to consider, is it really material that you can use for a reapplication? If yes, then yes, by all means, improve it, follow the advice of the experts, submit it again. If no, then let it go. Go for another idea, build another concept.
Yeah. Please, Erhat.
I just agree with Odysseus. So in case the proposal has not been succeeded, the startup or the company may decide to, let's say, try another proposal with another idea which is compatible with the topic content which is stated in the work program. So this will be our, let's say, main advice to that company or startup. And maybe there will be other options. For instance, for a startup, for instance, other than collaborative projects in the, let's say, large consortia, there's another instrument called EIC Accelerator. So they may, let's say, utilize from the experience that they received from the ESR evaluation summary report, the views of the experts, and they will try to mature the proposal and then submit and use it in the EIC Accelerator program. So we try to, let's say, give another channel, direct them into another program. Thank you.
Anything else to add? Someone else? Ipek, Miriam, Emre?
Yes, actually, I wanted to say, linking with what we were saying earlier, that I believe that calls for proposals under Horizon Europe are not a way to get some money. They are a way to further develop certain solutions that you have already thinking and you are already grooming in your company or your organization. So the starting point is a brilliant idea or a brilliant competence capacity that you have inside your company. Then according to that, you go and choose very carefully the topic, the call for proposal that mirrors and allows the further development of these competencies, capacities, solutions that you have in mind. And once the idea is true, once the idea is very good, the consortium should follow, whether it's made of experienced or less experienced organizations. The most important thing is that it covers all the requests of the calls, and specifically that gives an added value to the proposal. Therefore, it can certainly be the university that you have next door, or it can be another partner from the other part of the world. But the most important thing is that there is complementarity within the consortium and among the beneficiaries. And also regarding what you were saying, Adamantios, sometimes the position of a certain organization or a certain company gets strengthened, gets stronger, and get reinforced if it works together with the other organization from the same national value chain or local value chain. Let's say I am a municipality. I want to join a consortium targeted to municipality. Maybe my position, my leverage power will become higher if I propose myself in complementarity, in cooperation with the university that I have locally, with which I cooperate, with another company that is locally, with which I already cooperate locally. You can have more soft power once you propose to external consortia, or even just to carry out the activities that you want to within your proposal. I hope I explained myself.
Yeah. And this last analogy you used is actually, it helps me at least to get a better understanding there about how one should proceed. And Ipek, would you like to add something to what Miriam said, or to what or the previous panelists contributed?
I just want something to encourage the participants. I think you may never afraid to participate, because research and investment, you invest your time and effort never goes to waste. You can always your idea and work with another funding, another projects later on, I think.
Yeah, I think that there would be no better final word than what Ipek said. And in this spirit, if there is no one else that would like to add something, we can, yeah, please.
Yeah, maybe I can add something. Firstly, I want to highlight that Miriam has pointed. Actually, these programs are not a way to get money from the authorities. Actually, these programs are the way to develop competencies, and also to develop new services and new products, new technologies, actually. And if a project is a winner or loser, failure, that is not actually so much different, maybe different results when we look at the process, because as I said before, you are learning so much things, really so much knowledge and experience from other people's and other organizations' experiences, and these process can provide so much contributions to you and your organization, your company. Actually, when we look at these proposal times like that, actually, if we fail, if we be a failure, actually we got something. We learned some things, and actually I can say that until now in Horizon 2020 projects, I was in the 15 proposal. I participated in the 15 proposal, and During that time, I saw that the other partners was really supportive in this proposal time. These are not like customer projects. These are R&D. In R&D projects, people behave really so much supportive, and you can really make good improvements with their supportive way. Maybe I can say that. Yeah, maybe I can say that like that.
Okay. So then I have to thank you all. In case there are any questions, you will see from the slides our email, so you can get in contact to us. And I have to thank again both participants, but also the panelists, the speakers. So many thanks, and hopefully we will have many success stories, Turkish companies, organizations, universities, and research centers, so that we will feed future events with many success stories. Okay, so then many thanks. Bye bye to all.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.